Well, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome into the show today. Goodness gracious, we have a very interesting show lined up for you guys. We have some very interesting topics. You guys have heard of the Dollar General portals. Well, now we have the Waffle House portals, potentially. Definitely teleportation involved in some of Georgia's Waffle Houses, or at least one of them. And so today we are taking a deep dive into a FEMA official's account of teleporting into a Rome, Georgia Waffle House. Now, for my audience, my OGs, you guys have been here for a while, you will know that we have covered Rome, Georgia, which is not far from where I live and where I am sitting at this moment. When it comes to werewolf attacks, there was a recent werewolf attack. We're going to go over some of those today, actually, of a family where a werewolf grabbed a little boy in that same town, like I said, recently. And also, that's the same town where my great-grandmother and my great-aunt teleported themselves when they were driving down the road on a highway one evening in Rome, Georgia, and a light came down over their car, and the next thing they know, they're a county over, and about an hour had passed. They had no idea how they had gotten to where they were. And so something is up with this area. We're going to take a deep dive today. Of course, I do have Barry Littleton here with me. He's one of my resident experts when it comes to teleportation, time travel, time traveling devices, portals, all that stuff. And so this is going to be a fun and interesting discussion today. So I hope you guys are ready. We're also going to get into some of this disclosure that's going on as well when it comes to all of the alien disclosure, the bases under the water. I mean, it is just really wild with all these people going missing who are top experts in these UFO fields in our government, our military. What is going on, y'all? I don't know. We're going to find out today. Just feels like it's kind of an overload, a disclosure dump is happening right now. And we've been disclosure dumping for years. I guess disclosure dumping, that's like a new phrase, but disclosure dumping. Oh, by the way, that reminds me, we had a wonderful show on Saturday night. Speaking of dumpsters, we talked about Dogman rummaging through dumpsters on Saturday night with David Pardue. And we got some wonderful Dogman reports out of North Carolina. And so if you guys missed that, that was a fantastic, super fantastic show. And I want to thank David Pardue for being here. He is one of my teammates. I go out and field with him pretty often. And he's got a lot of history and experience with cryptids under his belt. Okay, so please go back and watch that if you missed it. Yes, Dogmen rummage through garbage cans sometimes. Okay, so they also will peek in your windows, y'all. Okay, so curtains, y'all, curtains, blinds. Don't forget. Okay, well, I'm also going to dive into a little bit of the history of Rome, Georgia, and a very interesting statue that was gifted to them by Rome, Italy, that involves two little human boys suckling the teats of a she-wolf. And we're going to see if that has anything to do with some of this weirdness, too, that's going on up there. So if you guys want to check out the Cryptid Huntress and what I'm up to, please go over to my website and check out the cryptidhuntress.com. You can find all my shows and my calendar of events over there. And, of course, I do have an event coming up this month. We're going to be in the West Georgia area. I'm going to show you where Whitesburg is on a map. Right here, we're going to be at the McIntosh Reserve. This is in Whitesburg. Keep that map in mind when I show you the maps, these other places we're going to be discussing today. We're going to be at the West Georgia Bigfoot Town Hall. And I hope you guys can join us there if you're in the West Georgia area on April the 25th. It's an all-day event, and we'll be having some cryptid field researchers there, some Bigfoot enthusiasts, vendors, and all that. It's going to be a wonderful time. So please come see us at that. I really just want to hear from the community and get to know people out here in my area and let you know that we are here to come out and, oh, my light just flickered. That was weird. But we're here to, I'm here to come out and investigate properties and things like that if you need me, if you need my team. And yeah, it's just a good way to hang out with the community, basically. Okay. And so anyways, come see me there at that. Okay. All right. Well, let's get to our show today because I am craving Waffle House right now. Okay. If I could teleport to Waffle House and get a pecan waffle right now, I would, but I can't. I mean, I probably could, but all right, here we go. On this episode today, we are exploring the fascinating and bizarre claim from a senior official with the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, that said he teleported 50 miles to a Waffle House in Georgia from where he was originally. Now, this is not the first time he's teleported. This claim was made on a podcast interview, and after he was met with doubt and backlash, he doubled down on it, citing biblical miracles. However, Waffle House employees in Rome, Georgia, deny ever seeing him teleport into their diner. The claim might sound outrageous to many, but I have the receipts on this area of high strangeness from a recent werewolf attack on a family and a missing time and possible alien abduction involving a UFO, which occurred in the 1980s involving my family. We're going to take a deep dive into that. And of course, we're going to get into teleportation today, time travel, even the use of phones and payphones and telephones to teleport as well. I think that has a little bit to do with this. I mean, this is like full disclosure, y'all. We're going full disclosure today. And also, we might get into a little bit of the alien human hybrid disclosure, the breeding programs, they said, and that NASA launch to the moon on April Fool's Day, and some of the anomalies with that as well. So, of course, I have one of the top researchers in my book over here, Mr. Barry Littleton. He has a YouTube channel called Barry Littleton and a Patreon as well. If you guys want to go support his work, please subscribe to his YouTube channel. And please help me welcome to the show today, Mr. Barry Littleton. Hey, Barry.
Hey, what's up, Jessica? Thanks for having me and dragging me down another one of these wormholes that you go down.
Well, today we are definitely going through a wormhole. Okay. And we're going all the way to Waffle House. Do y'all have Waffle Houses where you live?
No, we do not. So I'm missing the pleasure. We got Ditties where I live.
Ditties. Oh Lord.
Ditties, yeah.
Oh, Denny's. We got Ditties too. I thought you said
Ditties.
Ditties.
Close to Waffle House as we get here. Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, that actually is. Yeah, it's definitely not the same because we have those here too. Waffle House is an experience all on its own, and to work there, you have to be certified in MMA training. Okay, I'm just kidding. A lot of fights in the middle of the night.
Because where I come from is like the capital of, if fast food places and like that can make it here, then they expand out. Everything starts in the center. You know what I mean? And things like Pizza Hut came out of my city. White Castle Burgers came out of my city. There's a few things that came out of here besides airplanes. Aircraft, air capital of the world, unquote. Anyway, but that's interesting. I hear nothing but good things about Waffle House, especially from the wrestlers. The wrestlers are always talking about some Waffle House.
Mm-hmm. Shoot, yeah, out in Cobb County, right?
Yeah. So, right? Roman Reigns and all those cats.
Oh man. Yeah. Well, it's a staple in the South for sure. And I got to tell you, okay, so this is interesting, and I don't know if this has anything to do with this, but when I worked in state government. And I was at the Capitol a lot. I was at the state Capitol going to meetings and having events and everything. And I worked hand in hand with the legislators in our Capitol. And one of those legislators, a state senator, actually was the owner of Waffle House. Okay, so he was one of the founding owners of Waffle House. I think there were 2 owners, I think, or something like that. But I just remember there being like, breakfast and like events. There'd be like Waffle House cutlery, like plates and napkins and stuff sometimes. So there was a government connection to Waffle House. I'm just saying.
I got a question for you.
Okay.
So it's odd for me to picture you in those positions. So it's very interesting. Like the day you probably racked Shaq. Anyway.
Really? I ran into Shaquille O'Neal, literally, by accident.
Okay. I got a question for you. What do you think would have happened if you would have went in for one of your real busy days, and if all over your jacket and suit you would have had some snake repellent on? What do you think would have happened?
Boy, it's not too late. I can go douse a little bit on me. I walk right up in there right now if I wanted to. Go say hey to everybody.
How with those body cams on you, you might get all sorts of stuff.
I'll wear my GoPro. How about that? Yeah. I'll be like, what is she doing here? Why is everybody turning green and scaly all of a sudden?
The middle of the Oh man, I'm sorry you got in trouble for that that show.
Oh,
seems like it was quite popular actually. So.
Oh yeah, I didn't get any trouble.
People get upset with some really odd things. Did the snake people get mad, or the repellent people, or somebody got upset?
It was only on TikTok. They said that my short video went against community standards because I was talking about reptilians and stuff. Or it was
it's become oh gosh. Oh boy.
Yeah, or it was like, I don't know what, they didn't really give me an explanation. But I like this. They need to put this on their menu. Scattered, smothered, and transported. Yes, top dice chunk, transported, and portaled. Yes, portaled. For people who are not familiar with Waffle House, they have these delicious hash browns, and I'm not sponsored by them yet, but we'll see in the future. Okay, but they have these hash browns. You can get them all these different ways, and it's like scattered, covered, smothered, top dice chunked, and I forgot the other one. But anyways, that means that they have onions, they have cheese, they have peppers, they have chili, all that stuff. You can get them all these different ways. So you got to like remember what the words are. You know what I mean? The code words for how you want your hash browns. So scattered, smothered is chili, I think. Scattered means scattered with onions, maybe. I don't know. But anyways,
sounds like a southern thing. Definitely interesting.
It is. I know. I said capped. Thank you, Ed. I knew it. Ed. Of course it's Ed. Capped. That means they got mushrooms in them. Okay. Thank you, Ed.
Mushrooming going on. That's cool. I can dig that.
Oh my God. Yeah. Well, what do you think about this, Barry?
Okay, look now. Here it goes. First, I also want to say hello to the audience and everybody. A lot of people came over to my live yesterday, and I appreciate that. You came by for a little bit. Thank you, because it was a subject I didn't think would be popular or people would bite on. You know what I mean? But it's very relative what I was talking about. So I appreciate everybody coming through. It's real cool. Can't believe that was my 31st live. I can't believe it.
Wow. What? 31st?
Yeah. Can you believe that? And that's maybe that didn't count the ones I couldn't put on the radio deal, the speaker deal. Anyway, okay, back to the subject. And I'm sorry, I started us off goofy. Somebody's mad, I guarantee you. Anyway, so it's the morphogenic field of the planet right now, and humanity is not very good. You know, we're in trying times, and a lot of us are feeling it. And if you really are truly an empath, with not just the word being thrown away because it's cool, really a true empath are hurting right now and feeling that. Those that feel the pulse of the planet, the pulse of humanity, the real morphogenetic field, you know, it's pretty serious right now. Anyway, back to the subject at hand. Okay, I don't want to. I'm gonna get in heat for the beginning of this one because look, I'm calling total BS. Really? On this story, I'm calling BS. Especially when I read the article that you sent me. But let's take this to another thing, though, okay? In terms of, although I think this particular story is BS, as far as portal technology or actually teleportation technology, I very much do believe in, okay? And I think that's not a joke. You know, I was looking for something, Jessica, and it's so interesting. I haven't looked at it for a while, and when I switched my computers a few years ago, I didn't bookmark this thing, so it was on my other mark, but it was one of the patents for a teleportation device from the Google patents, and it was one that got all the deal on it. Okay, and I was going to pull it up so we could review it here during the show. I was running late, but when I went in the way I could find it before, there is so much stuff over virtual reality teleportation in these games and in computer systems, just programming itself, that it just dominated. There was 30 pages. I couldn't find 30. I couldn't find the one that was the actual patent for the one that's the physical. And I'll tell you what that one was and why it always caught my attention. And this is going back now, 15, 20 years. I think Google Patents has been around for a minute. And I've got one that I did find that's just the anti-inflammatory vehicle from Robert Ring and Otis Carr. I found that one. We'll talk about that later, though. But this one, what this entailed was, it was actually, we're dealing with structures. Okay, they had a doorway, and then also there was a representation of these, they look like similar to monoliths, okay, but more like almost stone structures. And they were being used to actually produce, it was a physical teleportation, and it shows the person walking through it, the thing behind it, and walking through the door and then being teleportated to somewhere else. And this was a patent. It was fascinating. I can't believe it. I'll find it eventually. I just didn't have time to go through 30 pages of people talking about virtual reality, which I found even more scary. If you get one of those simulations, people are teleporting and things are teleporting all over. Whole other thing going on there. And I think that, and I hear so much about war right now and so much things about people's fantasies, which is cool. It's all fun. But anybody can just say anything now and it counts, especially if you say the right words. But when dealing with the fact that we really do have a super intelligence emerging on this planet right now, it's been happening, but now the term AI has really put it in forefront, and even that thing I was talking about yesterday is dealing with these crypto terrestrials and this defense system that they're calling the Spear Network that still would be manned by artificial intelligence of some type. There's not people doing it. It's the same way drones we're seeing being run now. Some have capability of both, being done by artificial intelligence and being done by individuals. But when you're dealing with a system that's a worldwide defense system, you're dealing with some type of it's running all the time. Whenever it pulses that information up, that's AI. And if someone like Patrick Jackson, excuse me. Interesting name for a Caucasian guy. Sounds very ethnic. The last name, anyway. According to him, that they actually these energy fields, when they get like discontinued, or the fact that when these orbs make a move towards something to transmit that information, the type 3s to the type 2s that are in there, people can catch spontaneous combustion. Is maybe how a couple of those cases happened.
Oh my.
Anyway, I'm going off topic, but that's just interesting when we start talking about these things that involve teleportation, and these are things that I enjoy what was talked about before Andrew Basago came forward. I've been around for a minute like you have, all right? Look, Andrew Basago was the first person to talk about a jump room or about a quantum synthetic environment, as it's really called. Okay, he was the first one to talk about all the time travel stuff. And then that's why I question where the hive mind begins and ends, because all of a sudden you have a ton of people that's jumped on the bandwagon just like that. Oh, hey, that happened to me too. You know what I mean? He's the first one to talk about the Montauk chair, all that stuff. Okay, so I'm just throwing that out there. But what he said about the jump rooms is also teleportation.
Yes.
And the last thing before I shut my mouth is that, and I found one of those, is what they call our internal stargates, the hyperdimensional physics, warp physics concerning our body. And really what that ties into, Jessica, is the whole Mako thing you and I bring up all the time which is the quantum hologram that happens on the outside. But the fact that actually the Mako itself, aka black hole, can be connected to our individual molecules of the body.
Whoa.
So when you start doing that and you start having the conscious intent to actually activate those things and combine them in a collective way, that's when you start getting the species that are able to teleport from one place, one location to the next intergalactically without technology. And that goes into where that goes into where I've talked about some of the melanin dominant extraterrestrials are capable of doing that. The one that are black praying mantis hybrids, they do that without technology. And I'd heard about that before. And then this individual was talking about it. We did a video about. They claim they'd encountered these brothers and that they're inconquerable by any civilization due to that fact that they need no technology to teleport. And they can appear anywhere instantly. You know, it throws another thing to the end of the game. And when I talked to Dr. Rudy Shields, we were doing a little bit of work together. He had quoted some, way beyond me. I'm not a mathematician. I suck, man. It took me forever to learn my multiplication table. But he was quoting some computations that actually did attach the Mako to our individual molecule. So when you start dealing with that quantum physics in that way, and quantum entanglement and all that, it really changes things in terms of when you add our consciousness with it. So sorry, I'm probably getting us off topic. So anyways, it is what it is though.
Oh, it's fascinating, Barry. Thank you. Don has a question. So the video showing cryptids running, I know you just said you're showing cryptoterrestrials yesterday. So the video showing cryptids running fast and blipping in and out, should we call them jumpers? That's a good question.
That is a good question. You know, I think it comes also into these beings that are able to use electrical as well and actually go through portals in that way and actually activate them themselves. So I guess you could call them jumpers, or you could even call them sliders if you wanted, I guess, in some ways. That's a little different. But I think for here, what we're talking about, an individual that was talking about physical teleportation and jumping from spot to spot. And we know that there's certain sounds that can do it. There's certain geometric structures that can do it as well. Okay. And, you know, there's examples of that, I think, in not just whistleblower stuff, but in things around the planet that we can see. And another one would be these devices that are running, or just the portals that you've remote viewed that are Earth natural and they're not stable.
Mm-hmm.
If you need somebody to walk through one of those on accident, as we've talked about. But so in that way, I'm not saying what that guy is saying is impossible at all, but I think that particular story is BS. And I think that maybe we should just look into the fact that, hey, look, this is the era that we talk about mental health. Okay. A lot of people are delusional, right? And maybe there could be something going on there at that level. Maybe that should be looked at, as well as the fact that he just happened to pop into Waffle House and nobody at all saw it. If you were sitting in the Waffle House and somebody just boom, you'd be like, hey, you'd be taking pictures and everything, wouldn't you?
Well, here's my thing with all of this. He is a high level official with the government appointed by the president. Okay. And I think that there's so much disclosure going on right now with all this stuff. I have to wonder, I don't think it's a case. This is me personally. I don't know this man. Okay. I just found out about this story last night. My mom sent me links to an article. Okay. And links to this story. And I was like blown away. I can't believe nobody's told me about this. And I didn't know anything about it. And this is just right up the road from where I live. I live here where this happened allegedly. And so see, my job is to like connect the dots and stuff too. And first of all, I see patterns. And the pattern that I'm seeing right now is that there's a disclosure dump going on, and they're hitting every angle of all the stuff we've been talking about for years. Now, this is the teleportation angle. This is the time travel angle. Okay, they've got the UFOs, they've got the underwater alien bases, they've got the alien human hybrids. Now they got this guy on the scene who's a top level official who is speaking on teleporting when he just thinks of something, or he got on his phone and he teleported. Now, what does that remind you of when somebody gets on their phone and they teleport? Well, that reminds me of the Matrix, right? The Matrix. This is stuff that we've been seeing in pop culture for quite some time. What do they do when they need to transport to teleport? They get on the
Well,
payphone.
I thought the guy was in his car. He was on the phone and he teleported. I read the thing on there said he was in his car.
Okay,
I
he did it more than
thought I could be
once.
wrong.
We're gonna listen. We're gonna listen to his interview. Okay, I'm about to play it. But look, it says Sesame. This is a little meme that I found, and that is Trinity right there. So
this individual, no matter what his gig was, that he had a psychotic break. That's not a possibility, right? I'm just saying.
Everything's a possibility, absolutely. But we're looking at this from all angles, and so I'm trying to, just listen. There's so much high strangeness that goes on here, and literally my grandmother, my great grandmother, and my aunt teleported in the same location back in the 1980s. Seriously, okay, like seriously. And they did not have a psychotic break. So I'm just going to compare kind of like some of this to that.
Tell that story. How that happened.
Oh, yeah. We're getting to it. Okay. So since the Matrix was released in 1989, cell phones have been replacing landlines and payphones. The only way we were shown to get out of the Matrix. Isn't that wild? I just think this is great. I mean, I go around and I remember when I was in high school, we used to go use payphones. Remember those, Barry? You put a quarter in? And they ain't got them around anymore. You can't find one hardly.
The cigarette machine, the milkman, and also the paper. Remember the people actually got the paper?
Oh yeah. Yes. Oh, I remember that. Okay. So the other day, I think I had a Mandela effect that happened because in the town that I live in. There's actually I've never seen this before. I pass by this intersection regularly, almost every day. And I never seen this before. All of a sudden, one day, this old payphone just shows up on the corner. And I was like, whoa, no, my situational awareness is pretty good. Okay. I pay attention to everything. And this payphone just showed up out of nowhere. But it's old. It's been there forever, but I've never seen it. And it's on a corner right there. And I was like, man, yeah, it's still there today. I don't know. I have to go check it out today. It may have disappeared. Depends on what timeline I woke up in today.
How long ago was this?
This was just recently. It's in my town. And I've never seen a payphone for years.
You know what I find that interesting? You just say that.
Mm-hmm.
See, I'm not even joking around anymore. I got all serious now.
Oh, yeah. Get serious.
No,
look at that serious face.
No, but seriously, you said that's recently. And you're describing one of these quote unquote time edits. And some people call them time shifts, but I call them time edits because they seem a little shorter, but more minor. But it's interesting that you say that. And you say it was recently. Just recently, we're in the middle of a big CME. And it was being announced a lot that the sun was emitting these CMEs. And when these time edits happen, it happens during times of high solar activity. So I don't know how the solar activity is actually connected in with what's called time motive space force. Time space motive force, which has to do with the inertial drag of the Earth, of the sun, and of all the planets, and how that actually creates this ability to have what's called closed time-like curves, CTCs. And it's within CTCs that you can do actually a lot of things that have to do with, quantum tunneling, which is pushing information forward and backwards through time. One other thing I'll throw in, during high times of high sun activity, we've got these things called diffusion electron regions, which are actually where the magnetic fields of the sun and the earth meet. And at the points where they meet, there are these doorways that open, these portals, like every few minutes. It's been charted. Okay, so we've got the diffuse axon regions also that may be connected, electron diffuse regions, that might also be connected to these time edits. So it was the stuff like that I take serious. And when you see something like that, you're quote unquote, some of us are time sensitives. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So we can sense these little changes in the timeline. I just got through with a real long lunch talking with some people, and they're all convinced that we're on a fixed timeline. I've thought that before too, but I've seen too many evidence through time shifts and time edits during high solar activity that proves that wrong. You know what I'm saying? There is more going on than we think when it comes to the whole timeline scenario. But some of it might get blown out of proportion. Some of it maybe not. But it's, as we always say now, food for thought, beyond a doubt, scientific evidence behind it.
Wow. I thought I was going crazy when I saw that payphone. I was like, I swear I have never seen that payphone sitting there. And it's facing the street too, which is weird. It's not like facing the other way. Like you pull your car up into a parking space and like, it's facing the street. And it's like, right. It just doesn't make sense. Like none of it makes sense. I don't know where it came from, but it's weathered. It's old and it's been there forever, but I've never seen it.
Yeah, see, that's one of those days, real minor too, and other people will never notice it.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes the time edit can be really weird. Like, man, I know that house was red or whatever. Now it's brown, and you're like, what? It's always you always notice that house because it was the one color, and there's no way they painted it in a half a day. You know what I mean? Or something like just another time edit, like my sister. Okay, my sister is much older than me. She's 68, way older, but she's got a really good memory when it comes to like childhood interactions, like watching TV shows, and she's as good as me with that stuff. Okay, and she started saying one day we were hanging out, and she said, "Well, she stopped watching the Flintstones," and she said, "I stopped watching that day that Barney had that bomb and it blew up in his face and his eyes were dangling, and after that he didn't have eyes anymore." And my brothers looked at her and said, "What?" And I looked at her and said, "I don't remember that episode." And she said, "Yes, that's why Barney didn't have eyes anymore. Remember, he had eyes the first 2 seasons, and after that, he just had those slits. It's because of that bomb." And it was so odd. And she's not usually wrong on anything like that. But I couldn't remember it, and my brothers couldn't remember it. So I went and looked it up. And there was technically a reason why Hanna-Barbera and them changed Barney's eyes from being circles to being slits. It's not because of a bomb. They have some reason, production reason. But still, it's odd. For her to be off that much, as good as she is with all that stuff, you know what I'm saying? But it's little stuff like that might be these time edits that come in during high solar activity. Another one that you and I have talked about before during 9/11, Hurricane 11, or 9/11, Hurricane Eric. How come nobody can remember that? It was over Manhattan. They were in the middle of that during 9/11, but nobody can remember it. Even some people that lived near there. What's up with that? You could look it up on NOAA. It was true. It happened.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we've talked about that before. That's wild. That's absolutely wild. And by the way, yes, I've been, I know a lot of people in the chat have been discussing Dollar General portals. Y'all remember that? Well, I just happened to do a show. Harley Owens and I were joking around about this, about how there were because the only places that we have to meet up when we go on our cryptid investigations are Dollar Generals, y'all. Yes, I'm looking for sponsors one day. Okay.
It's a cool illustration.
Waffle House and Dollar General. They got the same logos. Yeah.
I like the werewolf on that one.
Yeah, that's a good one, right? And so we joke around about how we're portaling from dollar DG to DG, the DG portals, right? So this is from an old show that I did with Harley right there. So DGs and WHs, y'all. Waffle House and DGs, they're both yellow and black logos. And maybe that's a sign. Maybe it's like those nautical stars where there's stargates. Maybe it's the same with these yellow and black logos. I'm just saying, I don't know.
I went over my head on that one, Jones. Maybe I don't know. You went over my head on that one.
Some of y'all know. Y'all know.
So let me get this right. So yellow and black sides mean like time travel? Is that?
It's just me making stuff up, Barry. I'm just.
You're joking around. Oh, I got you. Okay, I thought maybe it was really a deal. And I was gonna ask, I was ask a serious question. Like, so are there a bunch of portals at Dollar Tree also, or just Dollar General? You have Dollar Tree?
I think it's DGs. There's no DTs around. It's all DGs. Yeah. And I mean,
right. Yeah. On, I can dig that.
Yeah. It's just a theory. It's just mine, and it doesn't make a lot of sense, but it kind of does make sense. And people are saying that they've been seeing a meme that was on the moon, a Dollar General on the moon. So I guess, yeah, they're everywhere, Barry. You can't escape them. So, but anyways, well, let's get into this because actually I wanted to get into this portaling story. Let's get into the background of it. I'm going to play this part of this interview from this gentleman. And when I was typing it in the search bar today, WSB TV News, that's the Atlanta area news, Metro Atlanta, has a brand new article. It just came out just now, right before the show started. And so I'm going to share my screen. We're going to read this article. It's probably a lot of ads and stuff, unfortunately. So I'm going to try my best. We're going to pull this one up. Okay, top FEMA official says he teleported at Waffle House. Hold on. Wait, let me make sure I'm getting the right one.
By the way, while you're doing that, yellow and black is the colors for my university. So I wear it all the time, so I could be like getting jacked anytime. Thanks.
Well, that makes sense. You're portaling in and out all the time. Okay, like I said, this probably might have some ads on it and stuff. So this is the guy's face. Okay, a FEMA official says he teleported to a Waffle House in North Georgia. Now, like I said, this is Rome, Georgia. We're going to get into the history of Rome and my family's history with teleportation, missing time, UFOs, and alien abductions potentially. Okay, so that was in the 1980s. This is according to WSB TV Channel 2 News, or 2 News, Atlanta. During a now deleted podcast interview, Greg Phillips, who leads FEMA's Office of Response and Recovery. This is not just like some low-level job here. He's like the head of everything. He said he teleported some 50 miles away. This is what he quoted. "Teleporting is no fun. It was scary in a way. I was on the phone," Phillips said. "I thought, oh my God, what's happening?" And I landed about 40 miles away in a ditch outside of a Baptist church in a little tiny town. It was an incredibly frightening moment to experience yourself in a car flying through the air. On another occasion, Phillips says, I was with my boys and I was telling them I was going to Waffle House and get Waffle House. And I ended up at Waffle House. This was in Georgia, and I ended up at a Waffle House. Jeez, like 50 miles away from where I was. Phillips added, and they say, where are you? And I say, at a Waffle House. In a Waffle House where? Gosh, I'm saying this word a lot. Waffle House. And I said, Waffle House in Rome, Georgia. Jeez. Okay. That's a lot. If nothing else, they're getting a lot of publicity right now because I've said this name about 10 times. Okay. The New York Times spoke with several people who worked for Waffle House in Rome, and no one remembers seeing Phillips. Phillips recently took to True Socials to defend what he said. God will not be mocked. People can debate me, question me, even ridicule what they don't understand, he wrote in a post on March 23rd. I know what I experienced. I know what I've experienced. I know who I serve. In a statement from FEMA, the agency said, DHS, FEMA, and Mr. Phillips are focused on the critical mission of emergency management and ensuring the safety of the American people. Many of the comments cited are taken out of context or represent personal information, informal, jovial, and somewhat spiritual discussions made in the context, barely surviving cancer in a private capacity prior to his current role. Phillips was scheduled to testify before the House Homeland Security Committee last week, but did not appear after his teleportation comments surfaced. All right, so that's the story right there. I've got some other articles too, of course, but it's kind of a big deal. Okay, and I mean, Barry, he does have a pretty high position in FEMA. Okay, now the scariest line you could ever hear, Ronald Reagan said it. It was like the scariest words are, "I'm here with the government and I'm here to help," or something like that. Don't quote. I said the quote wrong probably, but it's, FEMA is a little scary in my opinion. Okay. But anyways, it's just really odd. What do you make of that from that article?
I thought it was, there you go again. I thought that was the famous quote. Ronald Reagan. Okay, I'll tell you what. I'm looking this guy up, okay? And do you know he's well known as an American conspiracy theorist?
Well, I want to address that.
And that he was part of a movie, political film, 2000 Mules, that was a false conspiracy about the voter fraud. And there's all this stuff behind this guy that is
I'll debate you on that one. Okay.
I'm just saying something. Just because the individual has a position with our current administration by no means validates their sanity by any stretch. And I'm just throwing that out there. And I mean, it's just something that what I read about this individual right here is very questionable. So I'm gonna let you go ahead and rebuke it, because I'm sure you probably believe that this guy, but whatever, that's cool. That's all.
No, I'm having an unbiased stance here. Okay, we're just reporting on it. But I can also say that there's a lot of people who disagree that that's not, that there is a media bias, and I believe that. I know there's a media bias, definitely in one slant for sure. And so, of course, and that's what I was going to bring up today. It's like I wanted to pull up this article because this is with The Guardian. And they say immediately, the first thing that it says, top U.S. FEMA official claims to have teleported to a Waffle House before. And let's see. So the first thing they say is a far-right conspiracy theorist. So what I've noticed is a lot of times right off the bat, they want to discredit your story immediately by calling you a far-right conspiracy theorist, no matter what. And this is out of CNN and The Guardian and all that stuff. So that is to put it in the minds of anyone reading this that it's total conspiracy theorist. And don't believe it. This guy's crazy. But I don't know. I just know from experience, Barry. I'm just saying from experience, that's just put out there to discredit him immediately. Okay. And so I'm just asking everyone to have an open mind about this. And like I said, I'm having an unbiased view on this, but I'm just saying what I've
an open-minded question for you.
Okay.
Open-minded question. Why him? This individual just happens to, this gets teleported. Why him?
That's a good question. Yes. Well, that's a very good question. And why is there ties to FEMA and stuff? And I mean, that's why I kind of mentioned too, that like Waffle House is owned by, I think I doubt he's still a legislator now, but he was in the state government. He was an elected official, the guy who owns Waffle House. So I don't know if there's any kind of, connection to that as well. And why Rome, Georgia, of all places? Why Rome? And I think that is equally as interesting. Okay, because there's so much going on in Rome. Rome's courthouse just burned down last week in a mysterious fire, and their old historical courthouse. And then this happened around the same time, and yeah.
Well, I mean, it's not that big of a deal. It's not like Rome is really gone. Have you watched MMA? I'm serious. That's exactly what went on there, and the look on people's face. Most people are there to see if somebody gets potentially murdered in that ring or so bludgeoned. You know what I mean? And look at people's face when somebody's like, getting jacked hard. People are I mean, so that still exists here on this planet. Arena type of activity. And it's very much like that it's very much like that in the business world. Maybe worse, to be quite honest with you. They just say, it's business. Screw you over real hard. Oh, sorry, I ruined your life, but it's just business.
I've gotten that before. I've had people on YouTube that have come after me, and then they told me, it's just business. Just business. Yeah. We're gonna ruin Jessica's life.
and I'm pretty sure you're in the same level that I am in terms of, my entire life, I try to conduct my personal life with morals. And so therefore I've always tried to do my business life the same way. And you know what? If I don't, and I have no morals in my business morality, more than likely I don't have any personally either. And that's kind of the way it is. They try to make that different, but it really isn't. And the state that this planet is on shows that. I mean, it's, I'm really hoping that this is what's changing here. And this really is going to get better and not worse. Because as well as I do, it's getting worse. It ain't getting better. Not here on this planet. But hopefully that can be shifted during our lifetime. I really hope.
Yes. Well, like I'd stated earlier, like I feel like this is just another facet of some of the disclosure. It's like a fast track to disclosure right now. And that's what I think this is. And, I'd been having conversations with like David Pardue was on the show, and he is just a man of utmost integrity, when it comes to, just telling the truth. And Ed too, some of the guys on my team, like, our number one thing is like truth. Okay. Truth speakers, truth tellers, and not sugarcoating stuff and not embellishing stories and encounters and things like that. It's important, and so it is very frustrating knowing that we are, there is a bias in the media towards certain things, and it's an age-old thing where, like, us people who have encounters with aliens and UFOs, abductions, cryptids, we're made to look like crazy hillbillies and stuff, just crazy people. And so, yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I want to.
Yeah.
No, I do agree with you on that part. Is that all of this may be kind of a crap story, but there are truths behind it scientifically of what can be possible and what's being done behind closed doors. So in that way, could it be some type of disclosure? I won't argue that. You know what I mean?
Yes.
For example, somebody that's really good judge of like character and kind of they got their spider senses are good on BS. I had turned them on to Big Homie's thing, and they were like, BS. I couldn't believe it. I said, what? They said, man, they said it's not him, but it's the people that showed him that stuff. No. And they were just adamant about it. I couldn't believe it. And they weren't saying it was Homie, but saying the people that exposed him to that were making the claim that was a Sasquatch got hit by a semi and watched the state. It was BS. And, I don't know. It's not for me to judge, but it's just interesting how people have, different takes on things. That's somebody that believes in Sasquatch, but still, where does this begin and end?
Well, that's why I like to bring people on who have firsthand encounters with seeing these things themselves. And, but I also can see, and that's the thing, like, I appreciate you, Big Homie CC. Shout out to Big Homie CC. I've been talking to him. Okay. And he's a good dude. Okay. And I'm actually quite glad. I mean, I've been watching, some of the people that follow him have started putting a lot of videos up about Dogman. Now, it's not good information. It's like fake AI stuff. And they're like, well, now have y'all heard of Dogman? And so, because he started talking about Dogman recently, and I've invited him to go Dogman hunting with me. Okay. Investigating. And so it's the fact that the information's getting out.
He should be on here talking. Get him on here, man.
He's been invited. He's been invited. Okay. So but this is the way that I look at it. It's important to plant the seeds. It doesn't matter how the seeds get planted right now. He's planted some seeds, and I commend him for that, with people who would have never, ever taken these subjects seriously. Okay. And that's all I'm saying.
Right.
Listen, you and I are like way past that.
But the fact that Sasquatch, or no one calls that Bigfoot, is like just almost a household name now. It's mentioned so frequently now, from even where we came to where you and I first started working together, where we're still on kind of like the beef jerk linky thing, those stupid commercials. Yeah. We were still at that then, you know what I mean? But now it's gotten so much more serious. And even though the Sasquatch Genome Project and the DNA stuff has not been made public, it's still being sequestered. A lot of more people know about it, and that there is something going on here that science is backing up. It's only a matter of time. You know what I mean? But anyway, no, I agree with you. I do agree with that. I agree with everything you just said.
Oh yeah.
I'm glad to see that things are coming to the forefront like that. And it's not to say it didn't happen. Like, the stuff that's happened to me is so ridiculous. There's no way I could prove it outside of science. And that's frequently what happens to about 90% of the people on this planet. I'm not special by any stretch. You know what I mean? So
you are special, Barry. You're special.
Weird, little weird side. Little cooked out.
Oh my gosh.
I've been to Waffle House on the grill too long.
Man, you're gonna have, next time you come to Georgia, we're gonna go eat at Waffle House, Barry. Okay,
I haven't been there so long. I would like to, it's interesting. I don't want to get off topic, but how many things of paranormal nature that I see Georgia just coming up all the time.
Probably because I live here. And you hear it from me.
I'm more cognizant of it now, but yeah, it's like, wow. You know what I mean? It's quite interesting.
Well, yeah. Well, I'm partial because I live here. Okay. And, but it's not just me. I'm just here to report on it and to go out and experience it and investigate it. Okay. So y'all have your own boots on the ground reporter right here. Okay. And, yeah, I've got to go back up to Rome. We're actually planning an event up in Rome soon. It has not been announced yet. So yes. Wow. And Waffle House After Dark. That's right, Max. Okay. like I said, you have to be trained in street fighting if you want to be a cook at the Waffle House. I have 2 cousins that had been cooks at the Waffle House, and one of them will beat your ASS if she needs to. Okay.
That's funny. Well,
Yeah.
hey, somebody just said something I saw over there. That was such a nice comment. Thank you. Said I'm one of the first melanated people they saw talking about weird crap. Thank you. I appreciate it. That's nice to say, man. Thank you.
Talking about weird crap. Oh my gosh. I'm behind on the comments,
That's
y'all.
nice, though. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So, you know, I know you want to show like the deal. This guy talking and everything.
Yes.
I'll check it out. Yeah. And it'll be interesting
Okay.
to see. But and he might be used for an example. All sorts of things. But it's real interesting in terms that it is a possibility. I'm not taking that out at all. And I think that actually this situation of people being teleported happened, and unknowingly happens a lot more than we hear about, not just in the abduction scenario, but I think just as concern of Earth magnetics and everything going on. I think it happens a lot more than we hear about. It's just one of those things that would definitely be sequestered and drowned out. But the only thing is, so we start this, is if there's anybody in that restaurant that saw that guy doing it, there's somebody in there going to be looking for the clicks.
They have cameras.
They
have cameras.
Oh,
they have
right.
cameras everywhere. Why? You can't get away with anything these days because there's cameras everywhere. So, I mean, so what if they didn't see him? I mean, he said he ended up in a ditch outside of a church at some point. I mean, let's listen to the interview. How about that? Okay.
Let's do it.
And you guys don't worry. We're out for spring break this week, so we can go a little longer, just a little bit today. I don't have to go right at the regular time. So we got a little time. If Barry's got time, I got time. Okay. Let's play some of these videos. Y'all ready? Let's go to my TikTok.
Yeah, I'm ready. Right on.
Okay. Y'all please go over to my TikTok, the Cryptid Huntress, and follow me over there. All right. Are we ready for this? This is just parts of it. Now, this is off somebody else's TikTok page, and this is from an interview. I forgot the name of the interview. It says Greg Phillips, top official overseeing the federal emergency management disaster. This is from T&D Talk. All right.
You were teleported.
It's scary in a way. I mean, you don't really know. Okay, is this evil? Is this good? What is this? What do I do with this? How do I deal with it?
That was Greg Phillips, head of the Office of Response and Recovery
Right,
at the
we'll listen
Federal
to her.
Emergency Management Agency, also known as FEMA. So Phillips was appointed by President Donald Trump in December 2025, during a period of major winter storms across the country. And at the time, several FEMA officials praised his hands-on involvement during that turbulent winter season. And now Phillips is set to testify before Congress on the Department of Homeland Security shutdown next week, a shutdown that's already impacting airport operations and creating ripple effects across agencies like TSA. He previously testified on the potential shutdown last month, warning that a DHS shutdown would severely disrupt disaster recovery, delay reimbursement payments to states, and strain disaster relief funds. But ahead of his upcoming testimony, Phillips is now becoming part of a different headline following recent reporting by CNN. Because that quote you just heard earlier, well, it comes from the Onward podcast, where Phillips spoke with co-host and conservative activist Catherine Engelbrecht. And during that interview, he claimed he had teleported, describing a moment where he says he suddenly ended up at a Waffle House in Georgia, about 50 miles from where he had just been. He called the experience real, scary, and something he couldn't control. And that's not the only thing resurfacing. On that same podcast, Phillips also said he wanted to, quote, punch former President Joe Biden in the mouth, and went even further, saying that he, quote, deserves to die. He's also been found to have posted insults targeting lawmakers like Jerry Nadler.
Okay. This is kind of political, y'all, a little bit here. I was just trying to get to the story. Okay. This is, like I said, it's pretty polarizing.
Despite no clear public registration. In response to this reporting, a FEMA spokesperson told CNN, quote, "This is so silly. It's barely worth acknowledging. DHS, FEMA, and Mr. Phillips are focused on the critical mission of emergency management and ensuring the safety of the American people. Many of the comments cited are taken out of context or represent personal, informal, jovial, and somewhat spiritual discussions made in the context of barely surviving cancer in a private capacity prior to his current role." So now all of the
Okay. So I find this interesting. This is obviously he's getting made fun of. It's becoming like what I've noticed on some of the articles online and things that are in the, like TikTok and stuff. There's definitely a bias against crazy crazy conservative conspiracy theorists and stuff. So anyways, it's that's not the whole interview. That's probably not the best video I could have shown because that's not his whole interview, y'all. I just grabbed one. So, but anyways, it is kind of weird to me that they're making it into I mean, it's almost like another way to divide us too, Barry. I mean, what do you think?
Damn, he said he was going to steal on Biden. He's going to steal on Biden.
Yeah, I know, right?
He was going to deck Biden.
Well, I mean, I know a few people, probably thought of it. But
what I did find interesting in that is the mentioning of the TSA thing.
Mm-hmm.
I find that interesting, and also for some reason I was hearing that. It made me think about all the stuff I've always heard about the Denver airport and underneath it.
Yeah.
And the first time I heard that stuff was like about '94 on Art Bell. He was talking about that, and he kept going. He was Art used to be some type of an electrician or something like that. And he said he had some weird experiences at Denver at the airport there, and it wasn't normal. And then he went on. He had some people on there that talked about it, and that's the only time. Anytime it was when it's first brought to my attention. I'm sure people in the audience know much more about it because I've heard things like now, like Arkeem and other people, maybe some other people maybe mentioning it too that are quote unquote whistleblowers, but it's just fascinating. I think all those airports are kind of odd in my personal opinion, especially the one where you live, Atlanta. One is it's too damn big. Number one, it's easy to miss a flight out there, man.
Man, you got to run. I got to say, you got to get on like MARTA trains and stuff. You got to get on the subway trains to like go to gates and stuff. It's crazy.
Well, the first time I was there, my flight was delayed getting in there, and I get in. I go, I had just a few minutes. I can get there, And I went up to the person. I said, man, where's this at? Where do I get to this? And he said, oh, you're never going to make that. And I was like, oh, I'm fast. He looked at me. He goes, brother, you're not that fast. I had no idea. It was like 2 trains. So I understand. But the one about in Denver is this place I've heard the most about. I've heard about things underneath LAX also. But Denver seems to be the one that I hear the most about. So, just fascinating though. And the fact that that's being tied to the whole TSA thing, I just think it's interesting. As my mother used to say, where there's smoke, there's fire,
Oh, yeah. Well, speaking of which, okay, so he said in his interviews, he said that he ended up in a Waffle House 50 miles from where he was. Now, I don't know. It didn't say where he was. So I don't know exactly where he was, but he said 40 to 50. The news article says 50. He says 40. Okay. But he ended up in Rome, Georgia. Now I want to show you guys where Rome, Georgia is on a map. And then we're going to get into a little bit of stuff that happened in Rome because I think this is all important. Okay. Because this is where my family is from. My mom grew up in Rome. Okay. Like we have family. I still have family in Rome, actually. And actually, as a matter of fact, my good friend Bryce from Esoteric Atlanta, she went to school in Rome. Okay. In this area. And there's a lot of, according to her personal testimony, I'm not going to say where she went to school, but SRA. Y'all know what that is, right? Satanic ritual abuse. Okay. Goes on up there. I've even had my mom's best friend died in a mysterious house fire. We never found his body. We never found anything. It's like a lot of weird stuff goes on up there. Okay. And it's linked, may have some, let's call it Shaluminati ties. Okay. Shaluminati. Y'all know it. You're not supposed to say, there's words you're not supposed to say, but I say them usually anyways.
I mess up all the time. I got settled down so long ago. It doesn't matter. I think.
Yeah. Right. Oh my gosh. Well, let's look at Rome. Okay. This is where Rome is. Okay. That star right there. That's the state of Georgia. Down here in the South. I live in that area. Okay. I'm not going to tell you where I live, but I'm somewhere around there. And
is that close to Cobb County?
It is north of Cobb County. Cobb County is just directly kind of southeast of Rome. Okay. And so I'd mentioned before we talked about Corpsewood Manor. Okay. And that is in a little town called Tryon. Let's see, that's just right there, right above Rome, actually. So Corpsewood Manor, where those men they were satanic guys, Doctors Charles Odom and Scudder and Odom. There's Joseph
You think
Odom and Dr.
Tryon?
Charles Scudder. Tryon. Yes. It's just north of Rome. Okay.
You know, the
Rome
only
is right
time
there.
I've heard that name before,
Uh-huh.
Alpha Tryon. He was the cat that reconstructed Optimus Prime, the Autobot, leader of the Autobots.
Oh my
He
God.
didn't
I
look
was
like
just
that at
thinking
first.
of Bumblebee. I was thinking of Bumblebee a while ago, Barry, when we were talking about the yellow and black.
That's fascinating. Wow.
Whoa, that's weird.
Alpha Tryon. Yeah.
What if there's a
Wow.
connection to all this?
You know, I got to tell you something.
That's wild.
All jokes aside, but it's kind of a joke, but it's not. If I ever do come to Georgia, man, you got to take me through Cobb County to the Dollar General. Maybe we'll have
We'll
an
portal
experience.
there. We'll portal over there, Barry. Don't worry. I'll take you. Okay, let's see. Coursewood. Okay, I'm gonna show you what is on the steps of Rome. This is on this the Capitol steps. I don't know how you pronounce this. The Capitoline Wolf. The Capitoline Wolf. That is the courthouse, the downtown area of Rome, Georgia. I would say it's a small town, but Rome has gotten quite large. Okay, it's like a little metropolis up there, and their historic city hall opened in 1916. And
that building looks haunted to me.
do what?
That building looks haunted. It
Oh,
feels
I'm
haunted.
sure it is. I'm sure it is. Well, okay, so the Rome, Italy sent this over. Okay, this statue. Now, this is of Romulus and Remus. Okay, and here's I'll pull up some more pictures of it. It's the two little boys that were sucking on the teats of the she-wolf. Okay, and I brought this up when we talked about. I had Kenny from Midnight Lycanthropy on my show, and we came on. He came on, talked about some recent werewolf attacks and sightings in this area, and one was right there in Rome, right where all this is happening, right here. And let me read the history behind this. The Capitoline Wolf with Romulus and Remus stands in front of the historic City Hall in downtown Rome. The statue was an official gift from the Roman governor by order of the Italian dictator Benito Mussolini, and was presented when Chatilian Corporation silk mills of Milan, Italy relocated to Georgia's Rome in 1929. The statue is an exact replica of the Etruscan art that stands at the Palazzo di Conservatori in the ancient Capitoline Hill in Rome, Italy. And the mythical tale of Romulus and Remus has all the makings of a modern day epic of Mars, the god of war, and race Sylvia, the daughter of King Numitor. And King Numitor was overthrown by his brother Emilius, who then ordered Romulus and Remus to be cast into the Tiber River. They were rescued by a she-wolf who cared for them until a herdsman found and raised them. Romulus and Remus grew up, and after reclaiming Alba Longa for King Numitor, the brothers began plans for a city near the site of their rescue on the banks of the Tiber. During a quarrel over the city's name, Romulus killed Remus, and he then built the city, giving it his name. And so, of course, the statue was given not without controversy. While most people approached the statue and considered it a work of art, many others were offended by it and felt it was shocking and not something to be viewed by ladies and children. Okay, so the twins were diapered and the wolf was draped at some point. I guess it was just not. It was just not. Wasn't proper, I guess. And I find that interesting because, we talk about the Courtswood Manor, those two men that lived up there in the area in Tryon. They were Satanists. They built their castle in the woods. They were both brutally unalived up there. And they call that Devil Worshippers Hill. And the thing about it is that back in the 1970s and 80s, they drove around in I think it was a pink Jeep, if I'm not mistaken, with a pentagram on it. Okay. And they were loud and proud about their, being Satanists and stuff. And you got to think small town Appalachia, that's it. It's just, I'm not going to say it doesn't mix very well. You know what I mean? It was just, it had to have been shocking for the small town up there. Just like if they think that this statue is improper, you know what I mean? So anyways, it was just the times back then. Now everything is a little more open. Okay. And people are a little more accepting of stuff, I guess. But that is what was up there in Rome. And now we've got multiple sightings of werewolves and dogmen and Bigfoots in the area. They have a place called Booger Holler up there near Taylor's Ridge. And I have family that owns property out there that lives there. And they call it Booger Holler for a reason.
In Sasquatch?
Do what?
Boogers in Sasquatch?
Yes, booger is in Sasquatch. Yes. Boogers can really be anything, but they're mostly related to Bigfoot. Yeah.
Or mucus in the nose, right?
or boogers that you pick. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. What an interesting story.
Yes. Well, there's more. Okay. Let me go over this werewolf attack. Okay, that happened in this area. Now, this was May 1st, 2023. That was almost exactly 3 years ago. Next month, May 1st. Okay. A family just moved into a remote rural area in Rome, Georgia. They had a family gathering with friends and the kids were playing in the yard. The dad decided to go check some trail cams that he had placed around the property. He and one of his sons went on into the woods and found one of the cams torn off the tree and busted to pieces and bitten. The dad and kid went back to get his other sons in an attempt to gather the other cameras. And on the way back, they encountered a 7 to 9 foot tall, black, shaggy, werewolf-like creature with red glowing eyes, and it started growling at them. They took off running, and one of the kids tripped and fell. As they turned around and attempted to grab the kid, the werewolf grabbed him by his neck and held him up and let out a terrible scream in his face. It opened its jaws like it was going to eat him. The men shot it with their shotguns. It dropped the kid, started coughing up blood, and had a hole in its shoulder. The animal sprinted off into the woods. The boys and men sprinted to the house. They heard a loud shrieking and howling from multiple creatures in the woods. They saw numerous creatures in the woods pacing back and forth. And I've had multiple people back the story up, by the way. And so that's pretty much what happened. The kid's okay. Family survived. But I think I would admit they had just moved there on that property, from what I was told. And so that happened. That was 3 years ago. 3 years ago. That happened there. Now, I don't know, Barry. I mean, if this is a place of very high strangeness for a lot of people. Lots of ghost stories, Bigfoot sightings, werewolves and dogman reports. And also, I'm just going to add this one to it. My great-grandmother and my great-aunt. Okay. And this happened in the 1980s. I can't pinpoint the exact date because they didn't talk about this at all. They refused to talk about it. And they said that they were, when I finally got my great-grandmother to talk about it, okay, before she passed away, she said they were driving in the car one night. She and grandmother Emily and Aunt Charlotte. Okay. Now, these are very, let's just say, highly religious, very religious women. Okay. And, I'd go to their house. They always had a sign up that had like the 10 Commandments in their front yard and stuff, and they lived on the church property, basically beside their house, before both of them passed away. But back in the 1980s, they said they were driving one night down a highway in Rome, Georgia. And they said that a light came down from the sky over their car and enveloped the entire car. They said that the only thing they remember is seeing that light. And then the next thing they know, they're in another county. It like over an hour had passed. They were over 20 miles down the road. They had no idea how they got there. And they both attributed that to angels taking them out of harm's way. And, it was never UFOs. It was never aliens. That wasn't even in their wheelhouse. It wasn't even in their thoughts. You know what I mean? It was to them, the only explanation they had was that God had removed them from a wreck that was going to happen or something tragic. And so he had to get them out of harm's way. And like I said, they never talked about it ever. But that did happen to them. And so that was in Rome. And I don't know.
What color was the light?
White. They said white. They just said white. That's what she said. So what do you make of this, Barry? Because we're talking about teleportation. This man's claiming teleportation happened to him, where he just ended up, he was in one place and then all of a sudden he was in another place. Well, that happened to my personal family in the same county, in Floyd County, Georgia, back in the 1980s. Happened to them. So I'm like, well, it's weird that happened to him there when it happened to people in my family. That I stand behind what they told me. My great grandmother, my great aunt never lied about anything.
It happened to them while they were in the car, you said, right?
Yes, in the car.
You know, I know that it sounded like it was kind of discounted, but you know, that is a very typical abduction description right there, especially when you start dealing with some of these craft that are large enough to store a car inside of them. Let's say if it was a beaming pad like Star Trek, the room is big enough they can beam a whole car in there and then beam it back. Mm-hmm. That's actually somewhat common. Now, that's why I ask about the color of light, because those can often be, we call them stasis beams, you know, and that's fascinating. And yeah, that's really, that doesn't mean that's what it was, but that is certainly a way to describe that as well. And sometimes it can be to remove somebody from an accident. You know, I've mm-hmm. questioned that about my own self. And it came when I had met Mary Rodwell, and we had talked a while, and she was, in one of her movies, she had described people that were lifetime contactees who had accidents. You know, so common for those of us that are lifetime contactees to also have NDEs. That's why I was talking, they're not the separate things we think. That's why I was talking about perhaps NDEs are being targeted by the neuroprogramming agencies. Anyway, during that, like for one example, and I asked this, you know, I know what it feels like to be teleported back down from one of these craft. And to me, it feels like it felt like you're getting pulled down, like almost like when you're, you know, like when you go down a roller coaster, you know how you lose your stomach? That's yes. what my mother always called it, losing your stomach.
Oh, yeah.
It's that feeling. It felt a lot like that. And the general feeling I got on the ship, that temporal aphasia was like that anyway. But you know, this I'll show you this illustration here. This is when I was teleported, all right? And what's interesting about it is that when I was in this room, I had just pretty much passed out. And there were these things that came out of the glass thing in that room, and they were these plasma orbs. And they took me to this room, okay? They transported me into this room. And this thing seemed like it was a hyperbaric chamber. Now that I know what that is, it was something it's like oxygen on this backpack, and this didn't hurt. But what I noticed with these, I was too small to be in there, but Jessica, there are these balls that started swirling around and appearing, and they looked a lot like those super balls. I don't know if you had those when you were a kid, but the super balls, it looked like they're planets kind of.
Uh-huh.
They looked like those. There's a bunch of them. They started swirling around the room. And then that's how I was transported back. And when I actually had first put this image out and told people about it, I had a lot of people that came forward saying that they had something similar happen as contactees, but they described the balls different. They described them as looking like pencil filings, pencil shavings from like the, uh-huh. you know, they said looked like that were circling them, like metal fragments almost, which is some type of a nanotechnology. So I think there's different ways for it to happen. But it was after that, because I kept thinking, I was like, when I was able to, I wasn't getting sick in that room. And that's why I think it was like a hyperbaric chamber. And also maybe I was on that craft for a little bit to maybe stop some of the after effects I would have had if I'd not been in that room. You know what I mean? Like kind of when a cat comes up with the bends too quick from the nitrous bubbles or whatever, the divers. Mm-hmm. I didn't put that together until my best friend's a diver. And he said, I met a friend when we moved to Florida. He said, we can't hang out too long. He can't go deep with me because he got the bends at one point and he has to go every week to like hyperbaric chamber. I was like, whoa. And he started describing, and I was like, that's kind of what I went through there. Anyway, I'm just bringing that up because that's what it kind of felt like for me to be physically teleported.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh.
I was saying something else about that had nothing to do with that. It was important, but I'm sorry, I lost it. It's gone.
Oh, man. I'm thinking of all the times that like I've woken up. I just attributed it to me probably snoring or something, like waking up and like gasping for air. Like I was almost like my something I just got jolted back into my body or something, you know. And I've had plenty of times where I've woken up like that, either in the middle of the night or in the morning, you know.
Almost like it's a sleep apnea, you know. But you're a natural dreamer. You can do naturally what somebody like me has to meditate and act a certain way to be able to gather dream attention, so I can be alert in the dream deal. So for you, you're probably what people call astral projecting and traveling all that in the dream. At a certain point, your body will snap you back. It's self-preservation. You know what I mean? And that I know that happens. My brother has that happen. He's older. He's almost 70. He is 70, but he would have these astral projection things after these gigs he would have, and he plays bass. So I used to wonder if is he vibrating so hard that then when he gets tired, his body's able to dislodge like that. You know what I mean? But he would have these astral projections, and I couldn't do it like that. You know, but when he would say he'd get so far out there, something would happen that felt like an elastic band that would pull him back through these wormholes, and pow, he's back in his body. So I know it's self-preservation. That's just interesting, you know?
Yeah, it is. It is. And this is actually interesting too. Let's see. Heidi Bear. Hey, Heidi Bear. Is it possible there's a powerful ley line in that part of Georgia? Well, funny you ask, because I've got the ley line map right here. Let's look. We're going to look together on here.
You know, what are orbs seen there? A lot of orbs or metallic silver discs seen there a lot too?
Probably. I don't know. I'm assuming there's a whole lot of weird stuff that goes on up there. I'll have to find out. We need to do a whole show. I need to get Bryce back on the show to talk about that. Okay, so I'm looking at, there's a red ley line. Now these are some of the main ley lines. That doesn't mean these are all the ley lines, but that main red line, it kind of goes to the east of Atlanta, and it goes up in through western North Carolina to East Tennessee, and it just kind of misses that area right there. But you know, I actually have a friend who does plot the ley lines, like a little more minute ley lines, I guess you could say. And I can ask her, I need to hit her up, and I can ask her for a map of that part of Georgia. She's been plotting, she goes around and plots ley lines. And I think it's like according to the Indian burial mounds and stuff, or some of her reference points, I believe. So it doesn't look like one of these major ones from this particular graph goes through Rome. But it doesn't mean there's not ley lines there. Okay, but that map, it shows there's not. So there's something weird going on up there.
Did you get to hear what I said about that Spear Network thing yesterday?
I don't recall that.
You know, I've always steered away from that. It's a book written by a guy named Patrick Jackson. I got a picture of it if you want me to pull it up.
Yes,
anyway, but
sure.
Okay. Here, hold on.
Aaron, there's Mason buildings in every town. My son and my nephew just walked up to go look at one the other day. Okay. In the town where we live. Okay. So they're everywhere. I'll check it out. That's actually, y'all know my story. I told y'all about the goat head costume that I saw when I was a kid at one of those local Masonic lodges that I was poking around where I shouldn't have gone poking around. Okay. So don't come at me. Don't come at me.
That's a Gemini in you. That's what that is. I got that one too, my friend. Believe me.
Shouldn't let kids go roaming around a lodge. I'm sorry. That's just what happens. So, and then when we get older, we try to deal with the trauma of that still. So we talk about it. Okay. So, oh man.
It said that I'm blocked somehow. I'm blocked. Your browser's blocked your screen.
Really? Is it so you can't share?
No. It's saying to click the bar access then reload page. I don't know. Okay, sorry. It's I put it on my screen, but it won't let me share it. It's a book. It's called The Spear Network by a gentleman named Patrick Jackson. And he was a computer programmer, pretty advanced one, and he took an interest in the metal spears that are seen all over the earth. And he started noticing that one portion of them that he calls them, and he divides them into three categories: type 1, 2, and 3, but he does them like reverse. So a type 3 is actually they appear to be like orbs or metallic spears, including the one like that we saw making the crop circles. That's a big
Oh,
one.
yeah.
There was actually energized plasma, but them looking like that, and also ball lightning. That these are actually these type 3 probes things, just type 3 spear. Okay, and what they do is they collect information from the environment. They come up from under the ground, like cryptoterrestrials or some agency that has got super intelligence under the earth that brings these things up, and they're collecting information on the ground. Is what these type 3s do, and these are like, I combine that kind of with the orbs and these beings that are using the quantum hologram that I've talked about a lot. But this is different in terms that these are probes, or as like drones. That what do drones majorly do? They send information and receive, and that's what these things are doing. Okay, and the information they're sending are to what he calls a type 2 spear, and that's one individually spear that's about the size of a bowling ball, and it's over treetops, over houses and treetops, not too high up, but enough to where it's like a line of sight for the type 3 to send information to. Then when this gets to the type 2, the single, that uplinks and sends to what's called a type 1, and the type 1 are 3 spears that appear in a V-shaped formation. Almost look similar to TR3B, but they're not, okay? Just in shape. And what those do is target and fire on alien vessels or nuclear missiles.
Ooh.
That's what they do. And so when you have something like, when you have the Foo Fighters that I always thought came from just other dimensions, because it uses the hydrogen bomb that rips through the dimensions, through the frequencies, and others come to investigate. But in reality, they trigger this defense system. Okay, so those Foo Fighters are the type 1s circulating those things. So they need to get rid of the nuclear missiles and things. Jackson has some footage of that. Some of these 3-1. So anytime you see that, you see one orb, then you see 3. It means that it's this defense system from the other people on this planet, the other beings on this earth that have a defense system. They're since type 1-2 civilization.
Whoa.
Protecting this place. Now, this is why I'm bringing this up, okay? When this type 3, which are the orb ones, okay, they're hidden by installations that are buildings and houses and things of that nature. They use that to mask these radioactive gamma ray bursts and microwave bursts. Okay, and the reason why I'm bringing this up, if you remember, when you and I talked about the crop circles, I brought up how the crop circles, the real ones, not Dave and Doug, but the real ones that are bent, okay, the seeds have been exposed to something called an electron avalanche. And that's why they're so produce more material and things that are stronger. But that electron avalanche comes from the high energy plasma, but also the microwaves, the high microwaves. So the high microwaves are involved in the crop circle creating process, period. That's just scientifically been proven by Dr. Not Leadbeater, Lefty. They called him Lefty. Anyway, sorry. Going back to that. So what you have when you have these type 3s, these spears or metallic spears, when they actually get ready to send an uplink to a type 1 that's up there, okay, if you're doing from ground to the mid range there, they cause this energy plasma explosion of gamma radiation and also microwave radiation. And more than that, Jessica, they move and they go through a wall or something when they're doing this. It goes with the movement. Okay.
Wow.
And what Jackson was saying, he believed that there are times in a house or a building, people were in the pathway of these things and they went through them and it caused spontaneous combustion.
Of people?
Yes, and he described how there's only like 4 or 5 of those ever accounted, and then they just stopped a long time ago. Ever hear about people having spontaneous combustion? So it was said, oh, it's just BS. You know what I mean? But what he was saying that the system I just described to you is that you have too many of these type 3s, these orbs, these spear things hiding all over our planet. And there weren't enough type 1s to uplink everything to. Okay. And what has changed is now this other civilization, this other hive mind has made more of these type 1s. So they're more to uplink to. And also what the type 3s started doing is actually producing cognitive effects of hauntings and things like that. Things that will disturb people that's in the area of where this is radiation we're dealing with. I know you can dig that. Where this radiation is about to explode, it gets them out of the way by either scaring them or diverting them, dragging their attention somewhere else. He was showing like some examples of how some of these orbs, before they go into a wall, they're pushing their propulsion against the door and making bam, 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 bam. Somebody runs in the other room. But this thing passes by, does the uplink, and it stops them from getting harmed by the radiation.
Oh my God.
Then I'm bringing this up because Jackson has talked about, as his computer programming, how circuits work here, how when something stops like this line of communication from this defense system, it reroutes. And it's got a system that it reroutes that may go through that place you're just pointing out there. This is really, I think it's worthy of evaluating these things. You know what I mean? Doesn't mean it's all 100%, but he's got a brilliant outlook on that. And when we start dealing with what you and I talk about, which is technically crypto-terrestrials, okay, and that there are 4 factions of them as Mactoonies. In this book here, this is what I was talking about yesterday, the crypto-terrestrial, he has in there called the crypto-terrestrial hypothesis. And I mentioned, everybody talks about Max Spears all the time. Max Spears. That's cool. I'm more into the conscious thing of contact and not into the conspiracy as much. But I know he's very well known, Spears was. But this guy is named Mactoonies. He did a couple of books. This was the last one. And he died of it was unalived by cardiac arrhythmia in very weird circumstances. Okay. No. And he made this crypto-terrestrial hypothesis. And what it says is there's non-human intelligences and human intelligences secretly living right here with us on Earth that have technology 1,000 years beyond us. And he groups them into four groups. Okay, you've got the advanced ancient humanoid group. Okay, you've got the ape and dinosaur theopod group, which includes those that are of ape hominid descent and also of dinosaur, quote unquote, lizard descent. Okay. Then you've got those that are magical beings, okay, which are going to fit more like this book here that talks about, people call them jinn, but in this book, they call these beings midwayers. And you've got primary midwayers and secondary midwayers. And secondary midwayers are much closer to mortal like us. Okay. So you've got these 4 groups that all excuse me, I get too excited. See, it's going down. It's too I start slurring when I get too nervous.
Getting good.
Okay, but they all 4 compile into a type of a hive mind that is involved with protecting the planet. And we talk about these wars in space and everything. And and I watched Patrick Jackson start just pointing out that this is a system within our atmosphere, but that there are others outside our atmosphere, and how these 3 triangle are not natural, that look like stars, but they're these huge defense systems.
Whoa.
And he started even pointing to some of them, like following one of them, how it's blinking, it appears to be moving, and some of them are blinking. He goes, I think that's the war that they're talking about. The war in heaven, the war between these species. And and you and I know we've got a problem with slavery in the Milky Way. The Milky Way is not as advanced as other galaxies. So I've always heard. Now I know what that means. We still deal with slavery here. And it's a problem on this planet you and I damn well know. excuse me,
Yeah.
darn well know, especially since we're at a point now where, I mean, all this stuff going down consciously in every other way. But point being, now that I'll shut up, but that these type 3 spears, orbs, that they're creating paranormal hotspots because they're hiding themselves. But it's being done to
Oh.
distract people consciously. But think about it, Jessica. We're dealing with a type 2, type 3 civilization right here on Earth, type 1 even. Their technology, these drones that send and receive, they respond. They respond to psychic contact, don't they? CE5
Yeah.
and all this stuff.
Oh yeah.
They're
And
out
to
there.
my teams too. That's why we're trained in all this psychic work. You know what I mean? All the psychic
Yeah.
training that we do. And and you're really making me think outside the box today. Mhm.
The cube
Okay.
the cube you experienced, was that
Yes.
something being rerouted? For this
Yes.
information, the radiation. Sorry, I didn't mean to
Yes.
interrupt you. I apologize for that.
I think so. No, listen, don't ever apologize. I have oftentimes said I don't feel like a lot of things that happen to us out there are natural. Okay. And the more I get into this, more I feel like I live in the Truman Show, and we are being guided to things. We're being guided away, whether it be by a supernatural force, by man-made, by like, it's almost like some things feel choreographed to me. I'm not gonna lie. They really do. But who's choreographing it? Who's the man behind the curtain? Who's the energy behind the curtain? I'm serious. That includes the Bigfoot experiences, the Dogman encounters, all this stuff. It's like that time we had this portal open in my camp, at our base camp. We had a literal portal open and 2 creatures crawled out of it. One of them got sucked back in and one of them got spit out. Okay. And this thing screamed and it came, and it just, the way it all went down, it was like, it did not feel, first of all, when you have an encounter like that, it doesn't feel real anyways. It's like your reality just gets blown out the box. You're just like, okay, this is where am I? How did I get here? Like, is this real life? That's how I feel sometimes when these things happen. But the more I think about it, I'm like, man, it's almost like, was that diverting us from something else? Like, how many times have we had orbs? I talk about the constant that our teams have out in the field are orbs, flashing lights, orbs.
Yes.
Either they're guiding us over this way or we're watching them over here. We're always keeping our eyes up to the sky. Well, what are they distracting us from? Could it be a distraction? Like you said, it could be taking us out of danger. I mean, we get hit with infrasound. I talk about that with the audience often.
Yes.
It got me out of there. It got us out of there. We needed to leave, and there was something there that was going to hurt me. That's what I was told later on. A friend of mine was like, look, somebody saved your life that night. That's what I was told. So, because I got hit with infrasound.
Simplistically put, Jessica, thinking about, something I'm very proud of is that, we've done 91 targets. The next time we do a one is the main one, because that's like the year I graduated high school, 92, man. That's a good number, yo. Good party in the year. Anyway, but, I think that when looking at all those targets, how many times these blind targets, including the one that someone jumped you on for, show these underground installations, these underground bases and things that go beyond what Phil Schneider was talking about. We start dealing with these crypto-terrestrials, and we look at where they would actually inhabit, which is inner earth and inner under the ground and under the ocean. The perfect place to live on this planet is underneath. You're not going to be exposed to half of the catastrophic cosmic radiation, everything else we are here on the surface. All right. And on top of that, not just can you have different energy sources and different frequencies, but also you can control the entry and exit points to where you live. And as not just even the defense system that we just mentioned, this quote unquote spear network, you've got some apes or whatever you want to call us, homo inferior on top of the surface to do battle too. Try to put their own, what's called, I did some comparison of this device, this system that he talks about to our technology that was known as the Tesla Hauser scalar interferometer. And putting that easy, that's basically the Reagan Star Wars program. Okay. And it can be reversed to create a shield also. But if you look at how the targeting goes for the Tesla howitzer scalar interferometer and compare it to what I just said about the Spirit network and the diagrams that I showed yesterday that I can't show now, and look at the method of attack is somewhat similar. You know what I mean? So it's things like that that just we need to kind of just be aware of and process. Yeah, and I think that, you know, so you described everything. I thought about a lot before I did that live. I thought about some of the things that you've mentioned. Like one that caught my attention always is that first you said something about you saw, and one of the experiences, your team, you saw orbs, then you saw all these lights, and it was like people talking, and it sounded like it was a team of people moving through that you couldn't quite isolate.
That
You know
was that was when I got hit with infrasound that night. Right before I was hit with infrasound, I was with Keith, but we had the whole team out there. Hardly Owens had just gotten hit with it. He was at the top of the hill, and we walked up, and while we were walking up, Keith and I thought that these guys, what we thought were guys with their flashlights on in the woods to our left. And we were like, oh, they got their flashlights on. That's odd. You know, they must have found some tracks. They must have found something to turn their lights on, because that's not normal. We don't usually put flashlights on in the woods like that. And it wasn't them. They were all up on top of the mountain. And there was nobody else out there to our knowledge. The only people that were out there, we thought we had full knowledge and full control of who all was in the environment, but obviously we didn't. So there was something else out there.
See, completely an active area, you know, and it's now that I've mentioned what this system is, you've got the type 3, the ground orbs, then you've got the type 2 that is just a single orb, a little bigger than a bowling ball above tree line, and then you've got the type 1s that are the 3 that make the V shape, that do the actual shooting down or whatever it is. Now that I've said that, everybody check out how many people are catching UFO films of just that very exact configuration. 1 and then 3. This takes it even different than what I talk about, the quantum hologram making 2. And this is just something else to add into the tapestry of what we're talking about. One other thing I'll bring up, okay? You had mentioned another target I threw at you, the crop circles. And they're made by what? These high energy plasma spears. That's what you actually viewed. Okay. Now the question is this. I personally, Chris Jackson says that he thinks that those are strictly type 3 that are using their propulsion system to make the crop circles. And they also make they also use that propulsion system against apertures inside a house or building to make sounds to get people out of the way of being cooked, okay, by this uplink. But when I kind of disagreed. I said, man, my opinion, and Patty Greer got real mad at me for this because I didn't agree with her. So I shouldn't name any names, but they got irritated with me because they said, oh, the crop circles are the Earth's chakras. They're coming from the Earth. I said, I don't think they are. I noticed those spears came down and went back up. So I kind of thought that they were sentient plasma beings that come from the Kordylewski clouds between Earth and the moon and the other side of the moon. When you start getting that type of plasma and he starts getting bombarded by solar radiation, it takes us into something called the Kuwana ball, Kuwana spears, which is how this plasma energy overlays each other. And how at a certain point it becomes sentient if it's not already. So I thought that maybe those were sentient beings that came down from the Kordylewski clouds. But now it's got me thinking maybe Jackson is right, and I could be wrong because I've seen those spears. I think it was Linda Moulton Howe on Earth Files. I think it's that same, the one I had your remote view. They show actually this line between 2 of those spears. And when they break it down, it looks like binary between the 2. So I'm talking about this uploading, downloading of the drones. That's what we're seeing there. So maybe they are type 3s. But I think also about the information you got when concerning the spears. The most emotional one we've done so far. You got emotional over that one, the message that they gave you. And I'm going to take this. I'm sorry, I know I'm going too far. But look. There are three categories, 3 targets. One was the Zimbabwe children, and also the others that were just schoolyard encounters. I gave you those as a target. You got a name on those. You got a name with the plasma balls, okay? And then you also got a name with the missile silos. What are the UFOs that are shutting down the missile silos? Okay, and I just described that system will do that. We just described. And each time you got one word, a name. Man, I was like, man, I had to eat crow because I've been clowning that name for decades now because it sounds like a Star Trek knockoff, the whole Galactic Federation thing. But you kept getting that. And my whole reason for giving you all those targets were who is trying to help us? Who cares enough to have those kids, tell those kids, oh my God, please protect the planet? Who cared enough to shut down the missiles so we don't destroy our own planet?
Yeah, the Galactic Federation is here to help.
Who cared enough to give those crop circles? And when you start looking at what Levingood discovered scientifically about them, they could combat food shortage. Some of them are free energy devices. Who's trying to help?
I trust them over FEMA any day.
Yeah. But all jokes aside, and that's somebody, like I said, sometimes a fool changes the facts to fit their opinion. An intelligent person changes their opinion to fit the facts. And the data you were getting was changing some of my opinions on this. Okay, so that's where we're at. But by the very same token, I'm saying all this, but what you were describing, this Galactic Federation is somehow a part of this whole I'll get cooked. Crypto-terrestrial hypothesis. It all ties in. Okay, and I think it's important because if people say we don't get any help, but we do. And some of this goes into the miniaturization of contact as well. You have some of these species that are type 4, type 5 that use actually the Mako itself as their power source, but some of them are mycelium in nature. And we have things like Fukushima, like the radiotropic fungus, the Changa mushroom, and things that are here. And there's another form of mushroom, I can't remember the name of it, that actually can convert and is resistant to cosmic radiation, just like psilocybin is also. Perfect intergalactic traveler. You want to talk about Bracewell probes. And what do? Those things come here, they symbiotically mesh with mushrooms, and the mushrooms symbiotically can get with us. And people start tripping out, man. And it's always a conscious event. But that's real Bracewell probes, taking people into type 1, a civilization to type 1. You know what I mean? When I said that some of those Sumerians that had those bags, maybe they weren't batteries. Maybe they were medicine bags. They're throwing out a bunch of psychedelics. You know? Yeah. Well, you know, there's a thing right now. Who's the guy? I don't know if he was at the conference that you and I were at, but I met him at another one. He's one of the Ancient Aliens guys. It was in Vegas. William Henry. He wrote a book called like the Psychedelic Jesus or something like that. It's all about, he said, Yeshua was going around juicing people with shrooms all the time. People got mad. But he's got evidence that proves kind of that. Okay, before I shut up, I had a regression I did with somebody in my town, okay? This is a past life regression. And this past life regression, they start describing being like clairvoyant. They've got gifts now, but being very clairvoyant, being female, and being over this pit and giving readings over this pit and then juicing people with mushrooms all around there. Everybody's eating them all the time. And they would basically have people eating these mushrooms, and then they would do their readings. And I'm telling you, this individual was describing to me oh gosh, this is testing my history. Oracle of Delphi. You know what I'm talking about? Yes. This individual was describing.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, there you go. Psychedelic Christ. There you go.
I've never heard of this. Was Jesus a mushroom or something? Is that what he's trying to say? I've heard that. A big bag.
He's running around juicing people up, and that's why they were seeing so many miracles around him. I'm just saying, man. You know, it is. You gotta remember that guy was a person.
This is going to be offensive to some people now. Y'all don't come at me.
I didn't write the book. He said he's got proof, and he goes, that whole book is to support his deal by historical documentation. That's what that book is. So So anyway, and you know, and I'll tell you, on the black circuit and Kemet and things like that, I'd heard that about that individual before. I'd heard that back in the 90s. That cat was doing just a little bit of activity going on there, you know, shamanic training. You know, I don't know, man. It is what it is. I'm leaving it alone. I don't want to piss nobody off. But what do we always say, Jones? It's food for thought, and it's damn good.
Food for thought, mushrooms for thought.
You know, like right now, for example, you know, we have to take some of these things and get out of Western society judging things that are such as psychedelics and things. If anybody really studies what I've been talking about lately, the default mode network, and how I believe that's the part of the subconscious that grabs the negative identities and hides them. But when really clearing out the default mode network, it can be done during hypnosis, but it's not nearly as permanent as doing something small doses of what's calling now ketamine. That completely clears the default mode network. And I'm not talking about eating it and getting all zooted out. It's not like that. It's like micro dosing in a way that just gives you what's called journey spacing. And Jessica, the default mode network is an MF, because it's where we start the negative thoughts, and negative cognition comes from that, you know, again and again, over and over again in our minds. And then they call it almost the temporal part of the brain because it projects into the future. You're having future scenarios. There's all this horrible because you're a horrible person. You're bad, all this and that, you know? And when you take people like, you know, people think that they fail because I'm supposed to be a doctor and I'm not. I'm like a cook or something, you know, or I'm working a register. I'm supposed to be healing people and doing things like that. Then they do a past life regression and their own super consciousness says, actually, you are doing what you're supposed to do. You've been helping people every transaction. There are people that come in that restaurant and go through there just to see you because you make them feel better. You are doing what you're supposed to do.
Oh,
but
man.
you know, but the normal self doesn't see it that way. It sees it as failure, not as data. We see it as the overself sees it as data. Just saying what I've experienced in work. Anyway, that's
a great point. Well, can I just interject something? Because I read this story yesterday. I think I saw it on Facebook. And wait, before I get to the story, I want to thank Candy Zippy. Thank you so much, Candy. I'm sorry I missed that earlier. I have been jabbering my jaws this entire show, and so thank you, Candy Zippy, for the super sticker. I appreciate your support so much. You and Willow, all your fur babies, and Colleen. Please do a show on chemtrails. That and what we can do to protect ourselves. That's actually a good idea. Thank you, Colleen. Thank you for that super sticker too. Appreciate that. Thank you for your support.
Colleen's very supportive, nice person. Man.
Yes. We'll have to look into doing a show on those for sure. Absolutely. Okay. So thank you. All right. So let me go back to the article that I read yesterday. And I usually don't take the time to read long, drawn out stuff that I see. I didn't know it was going to be long and drawn out, but it really caught my attention because it was talking about a person who worked the night shift at a grocery store. And they said that the same people would come in at night, and it was they would come in. Some of them would have their headphones on. Some of them just walked around like zombies, kind of. But there was quiet. There was nobody in there. There was no talking hardly. And one day, one of the regulars that would come in late at night, in the middle of the night, came in to get some cat food or something. And the person asked him at the register, said, "Hey, can you draw something on my receipt?" And he's like, "What do you want me to draw?" And he's like, "I just want you to say, just write anything. Just write me a note. That's all." It's like, "I just need some human interaction. I haven't talked to a human in over 6 days. I've had no interaction with any humans at all. I've just been at home. I haven't done anything." The guy was like, "That's weird." Okay. So he's like, "I hope you have a great night. You know, take care." Oops. Take care. I'll finish telling y'all. Barry's gone. He'll be back. He's portaled out, y'all. He'll be back. But he was like, you know, "Have a great night, you know, Marshall," whatever the guy's name was. And so he sent him home with that note. And he was like, "Oh my gosh, that's so great." He started thinking, he was like, well, this person just needed some human interaction. And he started wondering about the other people that were coming in there too, because it was kind of the same people they seemed to beat up at a certain hour of the night where they're not getting a whole lot of human interaction. So he started putting notes on everybody's receipts. And it turned out it was like changing people's lives, just having like a personal little note, something where he connected with people by just writing a nice little note, putting his signature on it and a smiley face. And one little act like that can change one person's life, which changes their vibrational frequency, which can change all the people's lives and their frequency around them. And it's just a ripple effect. We are tuning forks, y'all. If y'all hadn't noticed, we are a bunch of tuning forks. And so it's important that you keep your vibrational frequency high, be nice to people, be kind. By the way, happy birthday, William Nighthawk. I saw that in the chat. If it's your birthday today, happy birthday. I know we've had some shenanigans going on with birthdays in our chat lately. I saw that. It's like everybody's birthday. Thank you, Blazer. I think it's Blazer's fault. Oh my gosh. So I don't know whose birthday it really is and who's not, but William, if it's your birthday, happy birthday. Okay. But anyways, one small act of kindness can go a long way. And that was the moral of the story right there. And sometimes we just need that human interaction. What does it mean to be human, y'all? That's the question that I often ask, because that's the head of my team asked us that a long time ago. What does it mean to be human? And I think that having human interaction and being kind and showing some support and love to our fellow humans and having a place for people to come. I mean, even here on our show, Barry, I know people get a kick out of us joking around and stuff, and just being there, just being a place where everybody can relate and come and get a good laugh every day or whatever, and maybe learn some stuff. I think it's important. It's important that we do this. Okay. And so thank you, Barry. Did you portal out to the Waffle House? Did you bring me a pecan waffle?
I don't know what just happened. Was I going too hard, getting too excited or something, overload? Because my whole browser shut down. I had to get on my other browser.
Really?
Yeah.
You went to Waffle House?
Okay.
Did you end up in the Dollar General or Waffle House?
No, I was like it. I was out there with the wizard, man. I'm from the plains, I was out there with the wheat. Anyway, yeah, that is important though, and it doesn't take much to just do something simple for somebody else that completely changes their life. And I learned that a long time ago. That's one of the reasons I started working with youth that were juvenile offenders. Because when I was younger, I used to mess up a lot. And I had a great life, but I had that kind of wild gene, so I got in trouble quite a bit when I was young. You know what I mean? But I started realizing then something changed. And I realized that never underestimate the one thing it is you say to a young person that could completely change their life. And that happened to me at a point where I had somebody said something to me that changed the total course of what I was doing. You know what I mean? So I always try to work with youth in that same way. But that's in our everyday interactions. And just to kind of close that out, when people always ask a lot, like, what'd you see when you died? It's not as important what I see as what I had experienced. And that is somebody that lived by the golden rule, thought I was somewhat, spiritual and all these things. But I tried to always do unto others like I wanted to be done. But the truth is that when I had died, during my panoramic life review, I realized that, the whole thing is about our choices and our intent of will upon those choices and how they affect the other souls around us. And that proved to be true in the past life regressions I've done too. People say the same thing. So don't underestimate anything. Just, because I like movie references, of course, Jones, that. I'll use the end of the movie Ghost. The very end of it. Remember, she could see him at the end when they started focusing on the love and stuff. And he tells her, they're waiting for him. He said, they're waiting. And Whoopi says, they're waiting. And he looked at her, he said, hey, I love you. I've always loved you. He goes, all that goes with us. And he walks off, remember? That's about heavy. That's about reality right there. So, in that way, I think that's something that's changing on this planet is those that hurt to those that care and more of us like us. And that's why things are coming together in terms of the merging of frequencies and dimensions. It's a conscious event. An uplifting of us as conscious beings. That's important.
Yeah. And thank you for this comment, Rhodey 8. That's so sweet. Jessica, I try to teach that way. I'm in Abu Dhabi and teaching online now because of the war. Needed this show to keep me high. Thank you so much. I hope that we can keep you entertained and at least giggling every now and then. Okay. And thank you for what you do. Thank you for your service to humanity. Teaching. Each one teach one.
Definitely.
And yeah, that's wonderful. And also please be safe out there. My goodness. We are living in wild and crazy times right now. And if we've got FEMA officials portaling out to Waffle House, What's next, Barry? What's next? What's on your bingo card for this year? Do we have any more things on our bingo cards? I mean, I get surprised every day.
I don't know. I mean, it's interesting to see how the way that truths are unfolding. You know what I mean? They're unfolding in ways that are hard to believe, but there are truths in there. So it's interesting times indeed. And I honestly believe, I mentioned the other day that I was doing this BS thine that's called the dog breath. It's a Kriya pranayama breath deal. And it's kind of weird, but boy, it really gets the vagus nerve going. Oh, let me tell you. And that's when I had I witnessed those beings that were, I'm pretty sure, Jessica, they were remote viewing me. And they were in these little like station things. And I could see them. I was in a dark room. And then they like looked at each other like, oh shit, he can see me. You know what I mean? I was like, and that made me wonder. It's like, boy, we're so disillusioned from what and who we are as immortal souls. We don't know how important each one of us actually is in the grand scheme of the divine plan, and where we're at in history with this planet, and how many other civilizations that do what you do, remote viewing is a common way of communication, are watching us right now, watching us individually. I've mentioned before, it's those people, those conferences you and I go to. It's always the people, Jessica, come up and say, oh, I haven't had, thanks for sharing, but I haven't experiences like yours, but I like all the stuff. And they're the people that have these hard amounts of AKA Artron energy on them, that high energy that tells me they've either been around some of these beings that have this high Kundalini prana energy, or they've been on board one of these craft that is dealing with these makos, these black holes, and they've been irradiated. You know what I mean? And those people say, I never had experiences like yours, and I sense that on them. I'd be like, I don't say, are you sure, but have you ever seen a UFO? They'd be like, yeah, a couple of times. What are the times did you see it? And you're going right there, and like you're with 4 or 5 people and nobody can see it. Maybe one person, maybe nobody. And they go, actually, yeah. And I said, well, people like that, I would admit, I'd advise to have a regression, because they'll find when I start mentioning, I say, well, think about, do you have any weird dreams? Maybe a couple of days later, maybe even a week later. And they'll be like, well, kind of, I dreamed I was, that they're in a hospital, weird place, or weird beings, or weird creatures, or weird people. But there's a time lag for us consciously between the event and the retention itself, to where it doesn't get the time lag. We don't start processing it till days later, a time later. And then when you take people like that under a hypnosis deal, and you'll take them down to deep theta, they've had all sorts of information was relayed during those seconds.
Whoa.
And you don't think that, wow, Jessica, you don't think, man, with the whole, I got to use the term, why not? With a whole galactic federation or a whole Ashtar command, no, I'm sorry, would they all singly, as a collective conscious, take time to focus and contact just me? The whole federation. And that's exactly what's going on. That's the type of contact we're dealing with.
Wow.
So I'm just taking us another different direction for those of us that are not getting assaulted and getting abducted and getting all the negative stuff. I know that happens by all means, but we got to explore this other stuff. When I did that last group I was able to attend with our friend Charlie Jones and his mother, Catherine Jones. Yeah, the people of color deal are really cool, really cool. But they had this gentleman from the John Mack Institute that did support groups, like really big ones. And I asked him, I said, man, if you're the lady with the scales, what do you deal more with? Positive or negative? Which way the scale's going? He went like this. Oh man, positive. He said it made everybody's tripped out. But he said, but it's weird, but the positive encounters are way more numerous than the negative. It comes up again and again, but we don't hear it. Sorry, I'm done.
Well, we don't hear about it very much. And something else that I wanted to mention too, I've got a little time where, you and you were just talking about how we've done 91 remote viewing target shows. That's just shows. Now we have done multiple targets within those shows too. And that doesn't include all the other shows and targets I've done. I mean, I've done hundreds, if not 1,000 targets by now. Okay. At least, from the time, I've been doing this since 2012 at least. Okay. Remote viewing, lots of targets and stuff. And so that's something else that's kind of come out in the news too, Barry. And I wanted to mention this. Before I do that, I want to thank Moon at Noon. Thank you for that super sticker, Moon at Noon. You're so sweet. I appreciate you. And also,
You came to my live yesterday. Thank you.
yes. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. Thank you, Justin, Barry, and chat. You really raised my mood. Amazing peeps, amazing show. Rhodey. That's Amy. Okay. Thank you, Amy. That's so sweet of that. Thank you for your support so much. Okay. So the remote viewing stuff's come out in the news too, Barry. Okay. So, we have all these missing scientists, missing people that have been unalived or they've been found dead under mysterious circumstances. There's some that they're just missing, right? Top military, top brass in the military, top brass comes up in my remote viewing data a lot, but top officials that are in the disclosure movement, I guess, not really, but kind of with the military, they have come out and announced that they're using military remote viewers to locate those people now. Well, I can guarantee you they were using the remote viewers before they ever made that announcement. Okay, to find I'm sure they probably know where all these people are, in my opinion. But anyway,
it's interesting how your extreme critiquer that we're both disappointed in, they had time to discredit you on every way, but then say, but the government people can pinpoint people down to an exact deal. Oh, when did they start believing in that? And they didn't realize that you've been government trained. They don't know. They're just talking. See what I mean? It's stuff like that. Anyway.
Well, and that's really bad because not knowing how I've been trained or anything, just putting it out there and telling people not to follow me, that's really bad. Okay. That was uncalled for. Okay.
It was disappointing, to be honest.
It was very disappointing. Very. That was like defamation, man. I'm just saying. Come on, man.
And it sucks because I'm still going to listen to their information. It's still good, but now I have a dislike for them, kind of, and it wasn't like that before. You know what I mean? That sucks, but I guess it is what it is. We can't all be liked, but it's like, man, there's such a thing as humility is not a bad thing, especially if you wear that much just for men. You got to have a little bit of humility anyway. That cat could be on a commercial, man, for me. No, just for men. Sorry.
Hey, we're talking about being high vibe, Barry. High vibe.
That's a high vibe. That's a good joke for y'all. Eventually, I guess we all have to start covering the grays, but
Yeah. Well, you know what? Here's the thing. Yeah, and Bigfoot Dwarf is saying, let's see if the RVers can find them. And I guarantee you, remember when Nick Sylvester came on here? I'm asking the audience, Nick Sylvester came on here and he was like, they're always going to ask you for proof. The controllers, the people in power, they know all the answers. They know where these people are, I'm sure. I mean, how can anybody disappear without knowing where anybody goes? There's too much surveillance. There's too many eyes on everybody, especially these top officials. You think people don't know where those people are? That's my opinion. Okay. And coming from a remote viewer standpoint, they've got some very highly trained remote viewers and they're going to know where all these people are. They can tell them. That's my opinion, y'all. Okay. So they can find them, but now are they going to tell the public that? Probably not. So that's full disclosure coming from the Cryptid Huntress right there. Don't listen to me. Don't ever listen to me. I don't know what I'm talking about. What do you think, Barry?
I think you do pretty good. I think you do pretty good. And I think honestly, one thing I like about you is you're very, very modest. And you built a nice big following, and that was not your intention. You weren't just doing this stuff so you could get clicks and get, saying stuff that is just preposterous. But it's the right words. Quantum entanglement of DNA. And people are just click. Oh my God, they're so heavy. And then people be saying nonsense a lot of the time. You know what I mean? But it's all right. That's the era we live in. But I appreciate your honesty, your modesty, and it's cool. And I tell people that all the time. 91 with me, but I thought you probably done at least maybe 1,000. I don't know. For years, way before we met. So.
Oh my gosh. Yes, I agree with this, Alea. I'm way too nosy to be an RVer. I'm not saying I agree that you're nosy. Okay. I'm just saying this is a true statement. This is why I don't train people a lot. I've trained one person so far, Barry. I'll be glad one day I'm going to train you in it whenever you're ready. She says I'd be way too nosy to be an RVer. I'd be in trouble in my Bernie Mac voice. I'd be in trouble. Yeah, because it is super intensive. I mean, you can really, it's intrusive. Intrusive is a word. And it could be, listen, there's some people that are lucky I ain't got time to look into them. Okay.
I
I'm just
got
saying.
another question for you. I got another question for you.
What's that?
Let's go back to your friend.
Which friend?
Big Hobie. Big Hobie. I saw him on a reel clip. It was interesting. His comments on remote viewing. He said that he thought it was super, super dangerous because you have these individuals called sentinels that come looking for remote viewers and try to trap y'all. Now, I've never heard them called that, but how long have I been telling you that there are those that are trying to influence what y'all are doing and ruin it? And I know that they got a hold of those people from the Far Side Institute, but I was so busy looking at the cat suits and being amused that I wasn't paying full attention. It doesn't pay to distract my mind. But anyway, but what do you think about that though? I think that's true. I think there is a league of beings or some sort of beings that are trying to default what you all are doing, give you false data and stuff. What do you think about that?
I mean, I disagree actually with a lot of that. And I mean, like you said, I mean, I'm no expert. Okay. I'm no expert, even though I do it a lot. I love what I do. But see, the thing about it is I've been trained to protect myself energetically. And that is a huge part. I mean, I think the majority of the training is to how to protect yourself when you're remote viewing. And so that's one thing that really separates people that have been trained, like the training that I've had, from people who are psychically looking into things. I have gone through extensive, intensive training of protection and how to protect myself from these things that potentially, if you want to call them, say, I don't know what, you can call whatever you want.
So it's not that you disagree. You just know how to protect yourself is what you're saying, right?
I'm not saying I disagree, but now calling them sentinels and stuff. I don't know about that, but there are darker forces and there's things. And I've been trained to stay on. I'm on target. You don't let anything get in your way when you're remote viewing. And there are things sometimes that are like, I take it upon myself to shut a target down if I am getting interference. Let's just put it that way.
I try to protect every time I send you a target. I try to do protection around you and the target itself from those influences. But when the few times you've been told like by something to not look at this or get away, did you get a nefarious feeling or what kind of feeling did you get?
I've done so many targets. It depends. No, sometimes I get yelled at.
Like that.
Yeah, just like get out of here. Get on out of here.
Does that feel negative or does that feel like?
I mean, to me, it just depends. It really just depends. I mean, yeah, you can feel negative vibes. Just like I said, it just depends. Depends on what the target is.
From that specifically, when they say get out of here, do you feel like it's negative entities saying it, or are they just guards, or are they? You know what I mean?
I wouldn't label any of that. No, I would. Like I said, it just depends, Barry. I can't put a label on every, don't put an umbrella label or a blanket label on anything when it comes to remote viewing. There's not, in my opinion. So it just depends. It's all about the target. Yeah. I don't feel like I've got like some dark cloud that's like trying to always stop me all the time from these things, if that's what you're referring to, or I don't know.
Not exactly.
Yeah. I don't know what these sentinel things are either. I don't know what that is.
I wouldn't call them that, but I know that there are beings that are trying to stop this mode of communication. And I think as we're getting more into it, and I think there's enough of you doing it now, like real, that it's caught the attentions of others. I mean, you got these inorganic beings that are giving us religions, that are giving us all these different thoughts and perceptions and precognitive ideas and things. Okay. Auto-suggestion that I think is just always good to, be aware of the different ways they're doing it. And to think that they're not going after people that are on this new path is crazy. They're watching everything we do. And we got to admit one thing. These cats are masters of human manipulation. My dear God, masters of it, and that goes all the way to the dreamscape. I was talking yesterday and the other day about that, how, you've got the worst of these inorganic beings that don't have physical bodies, but they're thought forms, but they can assume things in our dreamscape. And the worst ones show up like people you know and people that you love. And then they start dogging the heck out of you to get that what? The Jolly Rancher what? Yeah, to feed on it. And it's easy because at that point, when we're in the dream state, they can easily meet us halfway then. It's not as easy when we're here in the third dimension. But they're still around on that other Earth. They're right here.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw something the other day. It was like, I think this is what Big Homie was talking about. Maybe they were talking about some remote viewer who had remote viewed the moon, and they were astrally, they were stuck there, is what he said, or something like that. And I don't know anything about that. I have no idea. Do you know what that's about? Because I don't.
No, but I hear so much surrounding the moon, and now some people even use it for likes and clicks. So I don't know. I give up. The moon thing goes forever.
Yeah, that's the one target where I did get that proverbial knock at my door, and it was pretty serious.
But right now it's becoming popular because they're sending all these different missions. The Chinese have been doing it for a while. Chain 1, I think it was. They've been going to the far side for a while. And now all of a sudden we're doing it again. Everybody's talking about it. Why? And now everything's so manipulated with AI, I don't even know what I trust anymore. You know what I mean? It's gotten worse than before. So,
Marina, I'm with you. Marina says, we got people getting kidnapped by dolphins and teleporting to Waffle Houses. That's my kind of a world. You know what? I signed up for this. This is what I came here for. I don't know about you, Barry. I came here for this. I came here to find portals at the Dollar General, dolphins kidnapping people and forcing them to build underwater structures, and Waffle House teleportation. It's only going to get better from here. Okay.
I think you would lie. You came here for the waffles.
Waffles and the coffee. And some scattered, covered, smothered, top diced, chunked, and capped hash browns. Okay. And I bet everybody's going to Waffle House after this. If you got a Waffle House in your town, we should go support them. Give a little extra tip for all the midnight fights they got to get in with the kitchen staff.
Wow, man.
You really do have to be tough to work at a Waffle House. You do.
Apparently. That's something else that's so prevalent right now is people taking videotapes of people getting run over, people getting knocked out. Right. I mean, it's, I had one as a TBI survivor. I saw one because obviously I start seeing them. I can't click away either. You know what I mean? And then I saw this guy, he gets knocked out. He takes a pop and he falls and his head goes through the store window. Oof. And I mean, that seemed like that's a horrible brain injury. You know what I mean? And it's not something we record. Everybody go, ooh. It was horrible. Because I promise you, as a survivor, it is not like what you see on General Hospital or Dynasty where they get knocked out and they got this little bandage around their head right there. And then they kind of wake up and there's a little fog for a minute. And what happened? I promise you, it is not like that at all. I was so frustrated as a GH fan. I went to the Traumatic Brain Injury Support Group in 2012, and I said, if they have one more episode of General Hospital, one more plot of brain injury, I'm out.
Oh, man.
That's
a popular topic
said,
there.
Yes, it said, Barry, that's, always tied that way. She goes, that way they don't have to show any real injury. They just take off the badges. It could be a new actor. It could be anything, So, yeah, that is true, I guess. But talk about PTSD, it's just one of those things that came out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah. No, I used to, before my grandmother passed away, we would go to Waffle House pretty often. She always liked to go get some food. And the whole staff, actually the staff, I think some of the staff came to her funeral, as a matter of fact. Some of the people that would wait on her and stuff. And would always, just the wait staff and the kitchen staff and stuff. That's how much we went to Waffle House. Okay. With my grandmother. So rest in peace, Grandmother Nellie. And
we never had a Waffle House. Pancake. We had a pancake house.
My grandmother would go to the state capitol with me sometimes. She would get a kick out of this conversation today, putting snake repellent on and heading to the capitol. Man, she would be so down.
We're laughing, but somewhere there's some representatives getting mad. I promise you. Dogging out their product.
Some of them are good friends of mine. Okay, some of these legislators. Well, that could have been one of our. What do you call it? One of our programs. We could have been snake repellent. We're gonna go see who the real reptiles are at the state capitol. But I don't know. I'm just kidding around. It's for entertainment purposes only. But yeah, my grandmother would have had a blast this conversation today. And actually, when I was in high school, my grandmother was like, I was real close with her, right? And she used to write me all these stories from when I was a little kid, like first grade, second grade, third grade, for storytelling contests. And if you're on the Hunt Club, you can find a couple of the stories that she wrote for me that I told at storytelling contest, and I always won. Imagine that. I won the storytelling contest countywide and everything when I was a little kid off the stories that she would write for me. And they were always about real life fortune tellers like Mahaley Lancaster out of Heard County, Georgia, down the Troop Herd corridor. And Shiloh Sheila, a ghost of a Civil War ghost, a woman whose husband and her son had gone off to fight in the Civil War. And then she died of a broken heart while they were gone, thinking they were never going to come back and stuff. And so my grandmother was, when I did a story in high school on Mahaley Lancaster, that fortune teller, she took my entire mass media team. We all piled, well, not all of us, but the seniors, I think, we're a senior class. We piled in her Crown Victoria and we squeezed in, and she drove us out to the cemetery where Mahaley was buried. And my grandmother took us, the superstition thing was, if you drove around the cemetery 3 times, your car would quit moving and you couldn't get out of there at night. So what did my grandmother do? She took us out there. She drove around the cemetery 3 times. With us in the car, but everything was fine. We had good intentions, but she was like, let's just, let's be respectful, but we'll just go see. And we did some filming out there. She was so cool, man. My grandmother was awesome. So yeah, she'd be on board with the snake repellent. And yeah, I hope I can be a fun grandma like that one day.
Don't worry, it's coming. It's coming sooner than you think, so don't worry about that.
No, my kid's only 11. I'm gonna be like 100-year-old grandma.
It's like my mother would say. She said, "You shouldn't have been so much that." She always would critique me for never having children, and she said, it's not that bad, Barry. They're only like that for a few minutes. That's why it looks like a lot longer than a few minutes to me. They're only little like that for just a little bit. And I was like, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I think that we should pay more attention to people that now start saying they have teleportation devices. And who knows what could be coming out of in cyber world. I mean, I was really shocked to see 30 pages of teleportation pertaining to strictly video and programming. I mean, not at all what I was looking. I was looking for the physical apparatus, and I know it's out there. I'll find it eventually, and I'll send it to you.
Oh yeah, please do. I think this is just stuff we're going to be hearing more about, y'all. I mean, it's in the news. We've got this FEMA director guy. I don't know, what was his job again? FEMA official. I forgot what his title is.
Conspiracy theorist. That's what it said in the deal.
He's a conspiracy theorist.
I'm glad that's what it said in
Far right-wing conspiracy theorist. Greg Phillips.
Oh man.
It says a far-right conspiracy theorist turned high-ranking official at the U.S. Federal Emergency Management Agency claims to have once teleported to a Waffle House. Okay, so he's just a high-ranking official there, I guess. But anyways, I mean, I try to keep I try to keep like an unbiased mindset on it, and that's why I brought up all of the other high strangeness out of Rome, Georgia, and the teleportation absolutely happened with my great grandmother and my great aunt in the exact same town back in the 1980s, and so that's the only. Listen, I'm not saying that he is 100% telling the truth because I don't know the guy, but I'm just telling you what I do know about the history of that area up there, and with all the werewolf reports, the Dogman. I also, somebody in the chat, people are saying they think it's probably that was more like a Dogman that attacked that kid. I think so too, but the way they described it was werewolf because they don't know about Dogman probably. You know what I mean? But not far from there, there's Tifton, Georgia. There's Dalton, Georgia. These are places where there's been in Habersham County. There's a whole lot of that's all in the same area, y'all. It's not too far from there. There's all sorts of Dogman werewolf reports recent out of the past 5 years out of all those areas where they have been seen like class A sightings and stuff, like right there where they've even interacted with people, are all around that area up there. And so if you guys are curious about this area and you guys want to come check it out for yourself, come to my event on April the 25th down in Whitesburg, Georgia, and come out and see me, and you'll meet people from this area. Hopefully we'll have a good crowd there. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But we're going to have people to come out and talk about their experiences. Maybe if I can get some contact information, I'll ask some of those people that were affected by these werewolves and dogmen to come out. So we'll find out. But nonetheless, I don't know. Like I said, we never know which each day holds and where we're going, what the bingo card holds for tomorrow. So y'all buckle up, buttercups.
If we had transporters, I would use my transporter credit and I'd come join you.
Get in your TARDIS. You gonna get in that? Come over. Come hang out.
I've been in one of those, a model anyway, a nice one. At the Comic-Con. I also put on one of those damn ectoplasmic chargers, the Ghostbuster things, whatever they're called.
Oh yeah, the Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
I mean, really, we just gotta look for a phone
some really
booth.
nice working models of those things. It's like, whoa. But don't forget, not just the TARDIS, but if you get it convoluted in the early 90s, you got, what is it, Keanu, and before he was Neo, he was Ted, wasn't he?
Yes. That's right. That was in the Terminator movies, right?
No, that was Ned Ted's Wild Adventures or whatever, man.
Oh, Bill and Ted's Wild Adventures. Bill and Ted.
Bill and Ted.
That was fun. Isn't that where they had like Napoleon up in there too with their little phone booth?
I could deal with much of that movie, man. I could deal with, what is it, the one where the guy's smoking the bud with the Teddy a little bit better. What's it, Marky Mark, whatever his name is? What's that called? Flash
Mark
Gordon.
Wahlberg.
What's the name of that movie?
I don't know.
Teddy, the teddy bear that's talking.
Oh, Ted. It's just called Ted.
Thank you, Ted. Yeah. When I met
vulgar
Sam J.
bear.
Jones, we were talking, and I said, man, nobody's even standing around. He's come up, starts talking to me. I was like, Flash Gordon. I said, man, you did that TV show with Lou Ferrigno where you're like the ambulance people, right? Because he's saying Lou and him were good friends, and Lou didn't come to that Comic-Con. And he looks at me. He's like, I don't think so. He goes, but I've done so many credits. I want to say, man, quit lying, man. He was on Ted, Flash Gordon, and Walker. That's about it. I didn't say it. He's kind of a big guy, but I was thinking it. He didn't have blonde hair either, and he didn't look as burned out as he looked down on Ted. His hair was all swooped up. He looked like a movie cat.
Nice.
He comes up, hey, man, how you doing? I was like, damn, I guess I'm all right. Flash? It was very odd.
Flash. That is weird.
Anyway.
Boogie wants to know, Barry, will you do some more on the Crypto Sapiens?
Crypto Sapiens. I don't know. I tried to address a lot of it yesterday, and I was most interested in kind of correlating it with the Spirit Network, because I think that's part of the technology that Mac Toonies is talking about. He focused a lot on the holographic projections that they're capable of to mask their technology as plasma bursts and things like that. So I might. It's it's one of those things that's kind of, the four groups are interesting. So I might.
What's up, Aussie Ange? Says you have to go to the Cardiff in Wellsbury to get to the Doctor Who exhibition.
Now I have to ask you, Aussie, have you ever met Tom Baker? That is my question. Have you ever met Tom Baker? That is one for the books, I'm sure.
Oh, this is actually a good point too. Oh, so Engineer says telephone booths were part of the civil defense system. Robin says Superman phone booth. That's not, Superman used to go in the phone booth and then come out. It was Clark Kent, and then he came out Superman.
Right? I liked it a little bit better, Robin. The first Christopher Reeve, when he did the thing, that's the, what do you call it, the doorway? He's when it circles, he comes out, and the brother goes, hey, man, that's a bad outfit. That was the only black person you saw in Superman altogether. And mark me on that. You tell me one other black person that was in the original Superman movie besides that brother sitting there saying, man, that is a bad suit outfit. And he says, excuse me, and he takes off. No more black people in that movie whatsoever. Just things I noticed. I'm sorry. you know. And he had to, of course, be the pimp, you know.
Oh, no. Oh my gosh. Somebody just said my next on location film or video will be from a phone booth. No, I don't have it. There's no phone booths around here anymore, y'all. I do have that one that pay phone. There's a pay phone. It's not a booth. It's just like a pay phone, like a little kiosk in town. And it probably smells like urine. I'm just going to put it out there. They usually do. Okay. So I will not be filming for me. I could go take some pictures of it though. That would be kind of fun. I'll be wearing gloves. Touch it with gloves. Probably nasty.
I was watching some old episodes of a TV show I really liked. I've talked about it before, although it only lasted like a season and a half. It was called Werewolf, 1986-87 with John J. York from General Hospital, actually. But anyway, before that. But, you know, very interesting in how much they dealt with like the werewolf bloodlines, and they talked about that.
Yeah.
And this episode I was watching is one of the last ones. It was called Gray Wolf. And dude stumbles up on this old man in a junkyard living in like a VW or something. At the bottom of it. And he's some type of a werewolf, but he's really old. He starts talking about these packs. He said, I've been around before the Great Ice. You know, he's talking like that and stuff. And he's going through these different eras and clans of werewolves. But then he comes this one that they called Remy. He's supposed to be like one of the bloodline kings or queens, or maybe of all of them. I don't know. But it's so interesting, Jessica, because he starts talking to him. He starts saying, you know, I thought he was a good wolf, but he's a bad wolf. He's strong and he makes me hunt without the power. He makes me run on 4 feet like a human. And as it goes later, the guy who played Dr. Giggles, the bounty hunter, comes in. He's drinking. He said, oh, you heard my daddy's deal about this junkyard. And he said, what do you mean? He said, my daddy said he was coming home, but he was drunk. But he comes home and he sees this giant dog and a man on all fours, like he's the hound and the dog is his master. And he said the big dog must have killed somebody. And you see it chasing the old man off, backing it off to kill like an old hound dog.
Whoa.
And it's just interesting when thinking about that with what could be the difference between Dogman and Werewolf. I just found it interesting. You know what I mean? And yeah, and dude said that. Yeah, he said, he made me hunt without the power. Maybe like dog. He made me like a dog. You know, and we start wondering about how their case system might work. Just food for thought. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, that's pretty wild, man. Let's see. Aussie is answering your question here. No, I haven't met Tom Baker. I've met Matt Smith, Barry. Tom Baker was my favorite. Me too. I would say my favorite age was Tom Baker was my favorite. He was kind of my doctor. You know, it introduced me. My second always used to be John Pertwee. I thought he did really good until David Tennant. So I have to go Tom Baker, David Tennant, then John Pertwee are my 3 favorite. The only doctor I've got to meet was, of course, the one that got fired, Colin Baker. I wasn't overly impressed. He was all right. And he was signing autographs with Nicole Bryant. She talked to me a little bit. And the one little girl, Melanin Dominant, she's probably older now, but she was one of the companions. She kept running up to me with her little friends. You have pretty eyes. I was like, lady, little girl, I'm going to be your granddad, probably, you know. Real nice people, though. It was interesting deal. So, well, they're like hitting on me, I think. They're little girls from England. It was, oh, yeah, it's real cute, you know, like, it's jeez. Yeah. I was disappointed because, you know, it wasn't like one of the doctors I liked there. I didn't want to be Colin Baker. I thought his uniform, his outfit was ridiculous. Oh, Cosmic Joe, every dog man has its day. Yes, every dog has its day, and every dog man does too. As a matter of fact.
I can't help but wonder how many both Dogman and Werewolf. And by the way, the werewolf that you had up on that picture you showed earlier, it looks just like the one from those TV series. Yeah,
the one in the DG portal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that, you know, I guess the first ones that kind of looked like that were the ones from The Howling, that everybody thinks that the guy changing there was really doing it. He's really a werewolf. That actor was Robert Picardo. He plays the doctor on Voyager. I don't think he's a werewolf, man. Good actor, though.
Dang. Can you imagine? Okay, so I try to kind of if people have noticed, like when I do like some of my AI artwork and stuff, I try to like when I put me in the picture with it, I try to scale it down to size. Like I try to make it like, you know, I mean, I'm like 5'7", 5'8", something like that. And so I'm trying to make the werewolf so you guys can like see like the size of like how big these things really are. So that right there would be what, like 7.5 feet, something like that. 6, like 7 feet right there. So these things that people are seeing are sometimes 2 feet, even taller than that. Okay. The one that was in Rome that we talked about a while ago, they said that it was 7 to 9 feet tall. So if that right there is 7 feet and I'm 5'8", okay, and that's me right there in front of it. I'm not super short, y'all, but for a woman at least, and so that 2 feet taller than that. Can you imagine how big that thing is? 7 to 9 feet.
That's how they were portrayed in those movies too, all the way to Van Helsing. Van Helsing took those creatures, I think, made them a little more expensive than we'd ever seen before. You know what I mean? But you know, interestingly enough, on that same show, Werewolf, you know, that when it first started off, the head werewolf that he was trying to kill because it would, or unalive because it would break the curse or whatever, it was played by the legendary rifleman Chuck Connors, Lucas McCain. But you know, his name was Janos Scorzini. But the thing that was very interesting about him, Jessica, is that he had this eye patch, right? And when he's getting ready to turn, you see the fangs when he take the eye patch off, and he'd go like this and just pull his head off. And underneath was the wolf. Okay, and then he just drop his human skin. And before the show was over, when it get towards the end, he's getting into it with the main character. The character said, "Man, you're not a man. You're not a wolf masquerading. You're not a man masquerading as a wolf. You're a wolf masquerading as a man." And then later on, they start saying the head dude tells him, said he had, as a human, he had some sort of a degenerative disease that still kept eating at him even after he got cursed. So he was a hulking deal. Just the inside was keeping him alive, but the outside he was just a hulking corpse, walking corpse. It was quite interesting, you know what I mean? At that point of where you start dealing with evil and darkness as they were trying to portray it there. You know what I mean? And what that curse actually was. And they kept saying, that dude Eric kept saying, "I think it's some type of a virus. I think it's some type of a virus." Just food for thought, you know. Wow. And they actually started a like 1-800 number that you could call in when that show was running if you thought you were a real werewolf, or you'd actually experienced a lycanthrope, or what they're calling them, where you live, Loop Guru. If you saw a real Loop Guru, yeah. Anyway, it's just stuff that I find interesting because it makes me wonder how much of this now is being manifested from our own consciousness and our own negative selves. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of sightings, a lot of stuff going on here. I mean, I don't know. The mind is a powerful thing for sure. And I mean, and here's another thing too, with them putting stuff in the mainstream news. If Channel 2 Action News in Atlanta is covering this case of the teleporting Waffle House story, I mean, that's putting it in the collective consciousness as well. So that's just like, I mean, it could create, I don't know, are they creating the monsters here? I'm just seeing where, if we take a step back and we look and see what's being released in the news right now, which outlets are putting it out there, what they're saying about it, you just start to recognize patterns, y'all. That's all I'm saying. Recognize patterns. Keep your mind straight. Okay, keep your minds right, y'all. Keep a level head is what I mean. Okay, over all of this, because people are going to start freaking out. You know, now that the mainstream news is admitting it, now it's really real now, right? Channel 2 is reporting it. Oh, it must be real.
Hey, do you think leprechauns are real?
I mean, they're the Crichton one in Mobile, absolutely.
Where's that? Is that in your state too?
That's the Crichton leprechaun is down there in Mobile, Alabama, and it might be a crackhead, actually, they said.
Oh, so he doesn't look like
the wrong stuff.
Oh,
but,
so
I do believe
that
that one is real.
Okay.
Yes.
But he doesn't look like Warwick Davis. Me gold. I was watching Leprechaun in the Hood. He's there getting baked with the dude. He said, "Hey man, you want some of this?" "Oh yeah, I ain't smoked me a good pipe in a while." That was funny as heck, man. He's in there getting baked with the brothers, Leprechaun. Until the guy pulled out his lighter, the gold fell out. He stopped laughing. "Oh, where'd you get that?" "This be gold." "Be shillings."
Oh my gosh. Dave was back.
This Irish guy, he was saying, "We all know what you did. You beat me with me own shillelagh." I couldn't stop laughing.
Yeah, I have never run into a leprechaun before, so I can't tell you just from my personal experience. But I am very much entertained by the Crichton leprechaun story out of Mobile, and so that's another area of high strangeness. They got the wolf woman out there and other stuff. So.
Jokes aside, sorry, I'll get corny again. You can't help it.
Okay.
That movie, though, it's just hilarious. Leprechaun in the Hood. Anyway, this book, again, it goes back to the Midwayers. Somebody go to my channel, look at book reviews. Check out the Midwayers book or Midwayers review. It's, the primary and secondary Midwayers. Again, the secondary Midwayers kind of fit that description of what we could call both jinn, leprechauns, some little people. I think little people are separate, but they can appear to be that too. You know what I mean? So it's just interesting when dealing with that and some of these non-physical entities that have been here on this earth that reproduce amongst themselves, whether they be nature spirits or extraterrestrials that don't have bodies. We're getting into the whole organic type of aspect. You know what I mean?
Yes. Oh yeah. Yes. Well, we're only going to continue to get more disclosure as the days go on, y'all. And by the mainstream news, like this is stuff that we already know about. Okay. And so none of this is going to be news to us. It's just surprising the people that are coming out saying they're teleporting. And I mean, that actually goes back to the Montauk Project, Barry, and Andrew Basiago, like you're saying. I mean, I've had multiple people who have claimed to be part of those programs, and I do believe them. Okay. Like James Rink was part of the Montauk Project, Arkeem, Jimmy Payne. I went to Montauk with a whole group of survivors of those projects. And so this is just kind of, I mean, is this FEMA guy saying that he was a part of those programs? I mean, I don't know. It's kind of weird.
I've mentioned before, it was in 2017 when I spoke at that Assetti Ranch. There was a lady, kind of cute little sort of Caucasian lady, real short, named Elizabeth Diane, when she went by. She was like building like Adobe schoolhouses or something like that. But she was also a web designer, and she designed my website. This is as far as I forgot with it, but she put that together for me. When we were on like the last panel, this brother got up there and asked, and his name is like, he's a light-skinned brother. He's short. Anthony. His name is Anthony Zender. And he said that he used to be, interesting story. He said he used to be a pilot, and he thought that they put him in one of those programs. But he got up on the podium. He asked if any of us had been a part of the secret space program. And all of us on that panel, that really wasn't the theme for that. You know what I mean? And everybody came to me. I was like, no, everybody passing on. And it came to Elizabeth Diane. She said, I think maybe, she said, I think I've been in what they call that Montauk chair. And she said, I think I had an experience with it. And then she kind of passed the mic and didn't say anything more about it. So 2 days later, she's doing my website. It's like 2:30 in the morning, We're sitting in the office. I was like, tell me all about this Montauk chair. You know what I mean? And she said her dad was like maybe a captain or something like that in the Air Force, really high up. And she said she had a twin sister that sometimes he would take them to work with him. Said, but this time he just took me. And she said, I thought that maybe we were going to see a dentist or something. We went to this room. There's this really nice room, and there's a chair in there. And she said it looked like a dentist chair. And she's about around my age, I'd imagine. And so I started looking up different models, which one it looked like. And she showed me one that looked like a model of a dentist chair right around maybe 79, around that era, And she says there were these, like a couple of soldiers in there that had on different uniforms. And she said they were scary. She said, I didn't like them. I know nobody's going to hurt me, but I didn't like him. And there was a screen in the room. And she said, I wasn't paying a lot of attention. I just sat in a chair because I was waiting for the dentist to come in. I thought I'd get some candy and balloons. And then she started describing like feeling a vibration or something and seeing things on the screen and then not remembering anything and missing time.
Mm-hmm.
And she said that she never thought about it anymore until she heard Andrew Bazzago talking about the Montauk chair. And she started having flashes. I think I've been in that thing.
Wow.
So that's what, and this is 2017. It's before even the SSP was quite as hip as it is now. So it's little things like that I take pay close attention to, because I was very familiar with who he was at that point. You know what I mean? Of course, because he was on our bell, but he blew it up.
Right.
So anyway, I just thought it was interesting, you know?
Yeah, well, I got to say, some of the people that I know personally who are friends of mine who have been part of these programs, or they think they have been part of these programs, their parents or step parents were high-ranking military officials and stuff. And that has a lot to do with it, I think. And those are some of people that are not public about it and don't talk about it, but they know they're part of these programs. And their stepfather or their dad or their grandfather were high-ranking officials in a 3-letter agency or, one of the military branches. So,
every person I've done in regression that's had something like that, same thing. There's this lady that's becoming rather well known now. And I'm going to see if maybe she won't come on your show. You'd be a good person to interview her. She's got her own thing going now. But no one knows I was one of her regressions for like 6 sessions. But anyway, she's one, though, that and it came out one of these during a past life. And I was doing a live between lives, which you actually take the person into the last life they had before this one and then take them back through how they died in that life. And before she dies in that life, first, this life, she described being a completely different species that we've not heard of, extraterrestrial wise, that was part of a convoy that what their species and this alliance does is goes and rescues planets that are still involved in slavery that are about to transition over into like type 1. And they're trying to bring them into the, as they described it, the light and love type of a thing. Okay. As opposed to this slavery. So they were doing rescue missions. And they described these very vividly in a totally different way that just wasn't science fiction made up. It was too different. You know what I'm saying, Jessica? But then as they approach their death, they're in this room like on basically a hospice. And they start describing this machine and that they're seeing their next life and the choices they can have. And they were choosing these particular parents, a certain incarnation. And it's things that you would do at the place of translation and reconfiguration, which they went to also, but they were doing this before their body died. And they're saying, I'm going to go there to Earth to continue the work. They're in that situation right now. I'm going to continue in this capacity, yada, yada. And they selected their parents. Okay? These are my parents. They're seeing them on this screen, feeling it. Then they go through all the process of death, the place of translation, reconfiguration. They reincarnate. And before they can reincarnate, these agencies started manipulating their parents, doing all sorts of stuff that would set this individual up for complete trauma as soon as they entered the womb. You know what I mean? The trauma began and the programming started then. And I got disconcerted because although I don't believe in the quote unquote the soul traps and stuff, but I know that they can track us before we come in here. So it's not just being born with that Artron energy I was talking about earlier, that contact energy. It's that they can track it before we incarnate, and they know where we're going to incarnate. So it's like once you come into the womb, all things with the superconscious is over. We're open to manipulation. We lose that immortal part.
Yes, and it's also before they're tracking people. I know. I'm not going to get into my personal story, right? But there's trauma at birth that these children are put in as well. Traumatic births are a big thing when it comes to starseed or whatever you want to call them, right? People that have whatever you're describing. Let's just say that. And so traumatic births are a thing, and even abusing, women when they're pregnant and all that kind of stuff. Like that's all a thing to traumatize that baby before it's even born.
That happened to them. Yeah. Yes. Trauma.
All trauma.
Yeah,
It's
and
all
you know,
trauma.
and,
Wonderful
and then
world we live in.
that's not bad enough. So then you're born with deficiencies and things, have to be put in an incubator room for a little bit in an incubator machine, and then you've got all these earthbound spirits in the hospital surrounding the incubator room trying to join. You know what I mean? So I mean, there's these levels that I talk about of the stuff on this planet. It's a trip, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, you know,
So,
well, they show it like even in Stranger Things, they show like all the trauma-based mind control and stuff, and it's you know, it makes you more highly psychic and stuff. So I think that's part of it.
actually before, as soon as they're in the womb, they're getting hit with this stuff.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's really upsetting. That's something that our friend Desiree and my Nexus is talking about. They were saying that first, when they first started doing the scans, babies would show up clean, but now they don't anymore. That they're targeting babies too. Yeah,
that's so sad, man.
So
that's terrible. Oh man.
Another thing you don't get credit for. That was a killer show we did with her. I think
it
you
was.
did. It was good.
Yeah, it was fantastic. I know. We need to get them back on. We got to set that. I'll get that set up.
Yeah, she wants you to. You can have Dr. Beltran on.
I know.
Boy, that's going to be intense. Whew.
Yes.
Might get you in trouble. Get you some haters. More haters.
Add them to the list. Okay. That list is getting pretty heavy. It's okay. I don't care. Listen, like I was telling Jimmy,
I got a long list of haters. That's all right.
I just get sweaty when you said that. I just got like a sweat. I had a hot flash.
Just look at that list of haters. You're like, oh my God.
Can't breathe. I know, right? It's like I literally just had a hot flash. I've never had those like that. But
might be type 3 orb.
Well, it was kind of like what, you know, like Jimmy Payne was on the show last week, and that was a wild show, y'all. But he was like, well, Jessica, I'm going to warn you, you know, Linda Moulton Howe was poking her nose around. They were going to give her a lobotomy and this and that. And I was like, you know, here's the thing about me and what I do. Because he was kind of like saying it as a warning. And I appreciate the, you know, concern when it comes to what I do. But like, look, if there weren't people like me and you, Barry, and other people that come out and just talk, you know, I don't fear, like, I hate to say that, but it's like, if we're that, the fear is what keeps people quiet. You know what I mean? And if I'm telling everybody, you know, don't have any fear, have awareness and stuff. I mean, I practice what I preach. I'm not just saying that. Like if I didn't speak out and like talk about this stuff, who's going to do it? I mean, I'm sure there's lots of people that do it, but sometimes you just have to do that. You have to do it. If we want to get the full disclosure to stuff, like we've got to talk about this stuff. And you know, and that just keeps people quiet, pumping that fear into them. Like, oh, you know, he wanted to make sure we saw lobotomy stuff. And I was like, well, you know, I've died many times this lifetime already. Okay. So I just take it one day at a time. This is a fun, wonderful life we're living. There's a lot of ups, there's a lot of downs, and I take it one day at a time. But I mean, I'm not going to live in fear, you know, that people are watching me and I got haters and stuff. Let your haters be your motivators.
Yeah, right? No offense meant, but I was listening to that and I was very turned off by it, to be honest. It seemed like it was almost a personal attack to me. I met that woman. I mean, but anyway, point being, that does happen a lot. There is targeting going on by all means. And what's scary is this neural weaponry right now. And you're right, fear is a way of control. And right now it used to be simply the fear of being called a nutcase. If you talk about anything like contact either of us have had, you automatically go into nutcase. Heck, it was even mentioning Sauce Bigfoot, you could put in that group. You know what I mean? So that's something now that is, I think the communication system itself is overpowering. Too many of us are talking right now. Too many of us are sharing stuff to where it's like, man, they can't come murder everybody or unalive everybody now. They can't send Men in Black for everybody. So guess what? Let's just go the remote neural programming. You
exactly.
don't have to touch anybody.
Well, here's the thing. If something ever does happen to me, okay, like listen, I go and chase monsters for fun. So like my life is always on the line right there. Okay, that's first off right there. So why would I be worried about somebody online that's like, you know, threatening or something like that? It's like, okay, and okay, get in line with all the complaints and stuff. But yeah, I mean, you just got to take the initiative sometimes, and it is what it is. And I don't know, Barry, I'm just having fun. Listen, I'm still having fun doing what I do, and
I'm one of those people, like, if I was a remote viewer like you, I wouldn't give a damn. I'd have looked at the moon 1,000 times. And that's just me, though. I mean, nobody come by. I mean, the way I look at it, these agencies, they really want to get you. They'll get you. There's not much you can do about it. Put up all your protections, do all your stuff. Those cats really go after you. You're in big trouble.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? But it's a difference when you're just like kind of what you and I are, just kind of flies buzzing around the cider.
Right.
Maybe get
Well-
swatted, maybe don't, but it's not like when you get in, try to actually get too deep into it. You know what I mean? So
Right.
it's very
Well,
dangerous.
I have a healthy dose of respect, and I know I have boundaries as well, and I don't go crossing boundaries. And the thing about the moon is that is out of respect. You know, I've been trained by people who are trained by people who are trained by people, and there's a line of just respect that I carry, and that's out of integrity. I'm not going to go step on toes or do things that I've been told asked not to, things like that. So that's for that.
Well, what do you think's
I
going on right now? What do you think's going on with the moon? Why are they going there now? What's the next step? This big exodus back to the moon. What do you think the next step is? You know, I was listening to this astronomer talking the other day, last night, and he was talking about something I was a little bit unaware of. The actual comparison of some of the moon rocks compared to Earth rocks, the similarity, almost identical in some ways to certain specimens he was talking about. And I came in kind of the middle of it, but it's interesting. But point being, and he was talking about the new missions also, but what do you think is going to become of it? What do you think they're doing? Give me the whole Jessica's view
I
of
don't
it.
know. I think they're putting a Dollar General up there and portaling Waffle House. I don't know, Barry. I have no idea. I mean, I think we've been up there. I mean, I don't know. You know, and that's something I wanted to talk about today. I know this show has gone almost 3 hours today. This is double the time that we usually go because we are on spring break this week. But
Springer
you know,
break,
there's a
Springer
lot
break?
of the spring break. Yeah.
Jerry
So,
Springer used to Springer break in Miami every year.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
We usually go down the Redneck Riviera, Panama City Beach. No, I'm just kidding. We don't do that anymore. But anyways, there's a lot of anomalies when it came to that latest space launch that they did to the moon and stuff. And there's like a lot of satanic symbolism, and you know, they're getting the Freemason symbolism with like their outfits and stuff I was seeing. And that guy that was like helping the one guy, it was like a NASA staff, and he had like the devil or like a demon tattoo on his hand and stuff. And then people are talking about how NASA is actually like, they say T- because it's SATAN was an anagram. So it's like Satan is like NASA, but it's without the T. So they say T- and stuff. Like I just saw that yesterday. I never even thought of that. And so there's just a lot of psyopish stuff going on. Okay. So I don't know. It's all for show. It's all for TV. It's all for entertainment purposes, I think, for a lot of this stuff. It's not what we've been told, whatever's going on up there. So I don't know, Barry, what do you think? What are your thoughts on it? I'm just a conspiracy theorist over here.
Well, you know, it's the thing that we actually have so long, for whatever reasons, we could go all into that. We were obviously not permitted to really go back there, not publicly anyway. And now all of a sudden we're back at that point. And it started with the Chang mission out of China, which is about 2 years ago now, I believe. And they were back there collecting all sorts of stuff on the far side. So right now it's, you know, that's what's interesting. What has given to where permission has been given for us to start going there again? So if that permission has been given for that, how come y'all can't be permitted to start RVing it now? Since you know what I mean? Since publicly we can go there. Just food for thought. I'm not trying to push you to do it. Exactly. But just kidding. But seriously, I think it's, you know, just interesting information, you know. And judging from the people that I think are legit remote viewers, like you and John are the most legit that I've met in person, I think. Mm-hmm. The lady from Farsight was pretty good, but I think you two are a little more better. There's only three I've met in person. Oh, and there's that one lady that catches all the dead people and stuff. I forgot about her. So only 4 of y'all that I've ever met in person. But of that, 2 of y'all have told me that you got in trouble for looking at it, or just friction came from it. That'd be you and John.
Yeah.
I think you're the 2 best. So
I mean, he might have been trained by some of the same people I was trained by. I don't know.
I don't know. He said they were pretty high up people, whatever. But he's like you. He kind of protects them. So that's cool.
Exactly.
Yeah,
You'll never get it out of me. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Fortunately, I don't talk to him anymore, but I would love to hook you two up if I still talk to him. I think you two would make a great team, just information-wise, comparing some notes and stuff. You know what I mean?
That would be fun. We'll plan on it one day. We'll try to plan on that. But I find it interesting that they're announcing that remote viewers will be used by the military to track down where these missing people are, and so that's kind of another facet of the disclosure that's going on right now too. And I'm here for it, for every bit of it. Okay, so Barry, thank you so much for being here today. I think this has been a great show. Good Lord, we have gone 3 hours almost.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Today,
sorry I was being a little goofy this time, but it's Monday after Easter, must be all those eggs I ate. I'm sorry, that candy. I'm sorry.
The candy, the eggs.
There's some chocolate going around. I'm tearing it out, man.
Oh my gosh. We had a big old dinner over at my sister's yesterday, and that was wonderful. We had a good time. The kids did an Easter egg hunt. And one of the eggs, the golden egg, had some money in it. So there was a fight over the golden egg yesterday. And it was a good time.
My brother asked me if your sister and you look alike. I said, I don't know. I've never seen her. Yeah, I don't know.
We do.
I know you and your brother did, definitely. I could tell you two were related for sure.
Oh, yeah. No, my sister and I, her name's Jennifer. She and I have always been called the wrong name. She's Jessica and Jennifer, of course, and she does look a lot like me. Actually, it's really weird because I actually sent you that picture because we were joking around on Friday. I did a fundraiser with Sherry Dibban, and Sherry's always freaked out because I look just like her mother. And you know what's really weird is that her mother looks just like she looks just like my mother when my mother was in her 20s.
Maybe time to do some ancestry.
It's weird. Exactly. I think we're like, man, are we like cloned? Are we from the same star system? What is going on here? There's something weird. But her mom is eerily looks just like me, and we could be sisters for sure. She looks more like me than my mom looks like me. Actually.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's weird.
When it comes to me, my siblings and I, it's like, well, you see my brothers and I, we definitely don't have to check for the mailman. I'm a foot shorter than them, but outside of that, I mean, you can tell we're definitely all related.
Oh my gosh. Oh man, yes. It's awesome. I've seen you a picture of my sister. Yeah, Barry, I'll show you. She does look a lot. We do look a lot alike. It was her birthday too, so
is she the oldest?
We celebrated. I'm the oldest.
You're the oldest?
I'm the oldest.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, so you're the Marsha. You're Marsha.
I was the good kid. I was the one that never. Actually, I did. I got in a lot more trouble than my brother did. My brother didn't ever get in trouble for anything. But my sister's a troublemaker. I was the one that kept on my P's and Q's, and then my brother was the baby. So yeah. I was such an accident that, as my father says, everybody but my oldest brother was an accident. But no, it's interesting because like my youngest brother, he's 13 years older than me. He said, man, I prayed for years for a little brother so I could whack it. I was like, oh, great, thanks, man. But in return, I'm like, my siblings are so old, they were like gone out of the house by the time I was 5. You know what I mean? All of them pretty much. But they're also like a foot taller than me and all these differences. So I think sometimes the good things come last. That's all I'll say. Surprises come last, Surprises. I love that.
Like, how do your family feel about your experiences and stuff? I said, with the exception of my father, who's not into this stuff at all, everybody's always been very understanding. But it's hard not to be when I was seeing UFOs and stuff was happening when I was with my mother, and my mother was talking about it. You know what I mean? So it's stuff like that just is interesting. We all come up in different deals, but when I first came forward, I felt kind of bad because all the contactees I was talking to, I said, did you have a traumatized childhood? I was like, no. You know what I mean? It's so common amongst contactees, I think, to have troubled past and youth. And it's something I question a little bit, like why? I think that, like you mentioned earlier, is done by design to a great degree. When I have one of those clients that isn't into this stuff we're doing, and they start talking about the other them, that's working with the hybrids, and the other them that is on Mars, and other them that's that digital twin stuff. It takes it away from just being, hey, talking science and what they're doing right now with the new technology to what they've been doing. I mean, it takes it real fast. The digital twins, they're showing the ways they download memories and dreams into those things now. But that's been going on for a long time, a lot harder than that. And I think the biological factor of the digital twin cyborgs is more than we think. I think they're a little more human than just Schwarzenegger and the Cybermen for Ange. I see Ange, the Cybermen. The more human than that, Anyway, just talking. I guess in the Matrix, the agents look more human, don't they?
Yeah, Agent Smith. I don't know.
Yes, Mr. Anderson. Kind of like that character, though.
Oh yeah. Well, you guys, please be careful when you get on your cell phones. You never know where you're going to portal into or out of. Okay, and if you do end up in a Waffle House, be sure to order that pecan waffle if they got it on the menu. Okay, and yeah, I don't know, y'all. We're living in crazy times, Barry, and like I said, I'm here for it. The DG portals, the Waffle House portals, teleportation, werewolves, whatever.
Now, that image there, that's what I was talking about.
Yeah.
The filaments, the pencil filings around people.
Yes.
Yeah, the red filings. And then they get either beamed up or beamed down, but it's like a teleportation, definitely.
Yeah.
And
you were saying that earlier after that picture.
I didn't feel like I was bones, like my molecules were being disassembled and I was being stretched across time and space. But it did feel like I was being pulled down G-force wise with like losing my stomach.
Oh man.
So I don't know. Food for thought again.
Oh. Okay. Uh-oh. Hold on, my computer is going crazy. Okay, that's my sign. We got to go, y'all. My computer's acting up. Okay, well, this has been a wonderful show, Barry. Thank you so much for co-hosting with me today. What a fun time. Who knew you could have this much fun on a Monday, y'all? Who knew?
It probably went long because I started off being gooky. Kooky. Sorry, kooky.
Oh, no. Well, if we weren't on spring break, we wouldn't have been able to do this today this long. So I really do appreciate it, Barry. Thank you for spending your afternoon with me. And to the audience, I want to thank everybody who gave super stickers today. We got Candy. Thank you so much. Colleen, thank you. Rhodey, Amy, thank you so much. Moon at Noon, thank you so much. Y'all are so sweet. And so please go subscribe to Barry's YouTube channel. Barry, where can everybody find you?
Oh, yeah. Barry Littleton on YouTube, Barry Littleton on Facebook, Barry Littleton on Patreon. Do a lot of stuff on YouTube. Please come over and subscribe if you want to. You can reach me at barrylittleton13@gmail.com. barrylittleton13@gmail.com for sessions. I do hypnosis, do past life regressions, earthbound spirit release, do readings too, all that stuff. Also, I got a question. What are you and Ben going to eat for lunch today?
Waffle House.
Right on. I guess I'll have a long drive on me.
Oh, man. I will take pictures and report live from the Waffle House. We might even go live on TikTok if I can get some internet out there. We'll see.
I mean, I hear that. I hear about that place all the time. I'm not kidding when I say the wrestlers. They talk about it all the time. Like when they go places in the South, they all go to Waffle House. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And my cousins talk about it, too. They're from Louisiana and place in Mississippi down there.
Oh man, they got the best. They really do have the best waffles. I like their. What do I get? Like a 2-egg breakfast. You get like eggs, a couple of scrambled eggs, however you want them, with like some grits with some cheese in them, and some toast. You can get like cinnamon raisin toast. It's so good, man. And some coffee. Yeah, I'm getting hungry. I have not eaten today. Can y'all tell?
Me neither.
I'm starving. Okay, but okay, y'all. Everybody have a wonderful day. Thank y'all so much again for being here. It's been fun. Y'all please come back and see me on Wednesday. We have John Vendaventure coming back, and we're going to be diving into that Oklahoma dog creature attack. And I did play that news video, the news video. It was like a news show out of Oklahoma on the Saturday night show with David Pardue. And John lives in Oklahoma, and we're going to get into that, and we'll get into some other stuff too, of course. But there's this dog-like creature that mauled a woman, And I think Bigfoot Dwarf was covering it on his show last night too, or yesterday. But we're gonna take a deep dive into that and more. Okay, on Wednesday. So y'all come back and see me then. And Barry, I think you're gonna be back on Thursday night, right? I don't know if
Yeah.
I've
Oh
done
yeah.
target
Yeah.
for you yet.
Yeah.
You giving me the target yet?
No, I
You
haven't.
can send me
I'll
the
do it today. I'm sorry.
Do it today.
I forgot. I'll do it today.
Okay, so Barry will be back on Thursday night, y'all, and then we'll have a great show Saturday. So y'all, please be safe out there and watch for portaling. Be careful when you're on your phone. If you go to a payphone, just be prepared. You might end up in the Matrix somewhere. Okay, y'all have a great day, and I'll see y'all back here on Wednesday. All right, see
Thanks
y'all.
again
Bye,
for everybody
Barry.
to help me out yesterday. Thank you, and thank you your audience. Thank you.
Of course, y'all. Have a great day. Bye.